Is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Thank you, Patty. Welcome to DBL. It's Wednesday, January 6th. I'm Tori here with Jeff and Brandon. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Well, Lindsay joins us from home. Hello, lady.
Lindsay!
Hey, what's up?
Happy New Year. We miss you.
That sounded
Happy
like
New Year. How you guys doing?
That sounded like a conversation when you haven't seen your aunt and uncle in years, and you're like, "Hi."
Hey, Aunt Liz.
Been doing?
Hey, Liz. All right, well, let's get started with the big news of the day. Of course, there was a runoff election yesterday for the 2 Senate seats in Georgia. And while we're following it, we are going to hold off until talking about it until it's official. And as important as that is, instead, we are going to be talking about what everyone else is talking about.
What's that?
Kim and Kanye!
Of course.
are they headed for divorce? So they have reportedly been in marriage counseling and living separate lives. Now, multiple sources say, yeah, they're calling it quits. Page 6 is reporting that Kim hired this divorce lawyer, Laura Wasser, but others are saying Kim's been paying her for years to be on standby. Can you imagine being paid to just be on standby? Kim has also been seen recently without her giant engagement ring. The couple got married in 2014. So what led to this potential breaking point for the very famous couple? Well, there was Kanye's failed run for president. Initially, Kim seemed to support him, but then this happened. Kanye seemed to lose it during this unscripted speech. He even disclosed some very personal details about their first child together, North, which reportedly left Kim shocked. Kanye also talked about wanting to divorce Kim after news of a private meeting between her and rapper Meek Mill at a Beverly Hills hotel. The couple does have 4 kids together, which also complicates any potential breakup, along with the reported, get ready for this, $2.2 billion fortune that they have to split.
I'm glad you put the .2 at the end of that.
It's important to hear that.
It's important.
It's like people who run marathons, they're like 26.2. So what do you all make of this news? Lindsay, I'm going to start with you. I want to know if you thought you were shocked. I called this the second he started talking about North and the potential abortion that they almost had. I said, Kim's done. This is done. What do you think, Linz?
Yeah, I think in that moment he went too far. A lot of us were like, what is happening? But I'm not really surprised, but I am sad. I think even as somebody who's not a huge fan of the Kardashian franchise, like to see a family with 4 kids going through a divorce is just a real thing. And that's when celebrities become more human, when they're going through real life things. And so you can see even by some of the photos we saw when she flew down to Wyoming to talk to Kanye after that statement that he made about her and him considering abortion for North, who's also 7 and understands that if she reads that or sees that. So that's horrible. But they, it's just been very public and a mess. But, it's also somebody who consistently asks for the public to intentionally be part of her life. And so if that is what the standard was set for all these years, you can't be surprised when everybody's in your business now. It's almost like when Wendy Williams asked for privacy during her divorce. It's like, no, your whole career has been in the public eye, in people's business. So
interesting. What do you think, Jeff, about where she'll go? I have an idea of who she's going to head on to next, but what do you think about the whole idea first off?
First of all, great prediction, Nostradamus. That
Nostradamus,
that one of the Kardashians are going to split up. Great prediction. First of all, no one in that family has sustained a marriage, right? Everyone's divorced.
It's been really, no one has had, you're right.
Including the mother, right?
You're right.
So everyone's focused on Kanye and his mental health, and I want to really focus on that too. I don't want to turn this into a tabloid story. I don't think it's easy being with a Kardashian in itself. There's a lot of pressure on that. I think they have a lot of family pressure that you have to live up to, which could add on to that mental health that you're not stable in it, right? So I really want to focus on Kanye's mental health, how that equates into marriage and things like that, as opposed to just bashing the Kardashians for who they are and that they don't last long in their marriages. This is a serious thing, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, even though they're so unrelatable in the way they live. Mental health is something we're going to have to deal with, not only today, but in the future because of COVID and what people are going through and staying home and losing their jobs and losing loved ones, etc. This is something that we're all going to have to deal with. So I think this is a good example if they do this right on the right stage.
I agree with you. And Brandon, really quick, there is a concept that there's a curse of any men that touches a Kardashian because it'll always go badly for them because they are so heavy and their power is so great. There's this funny curse that people say. Do you see that coming true or no?
I think that's crazy. We're talking about, when we talk about divorce, 51% of relationships end up in divorce anyway. So it doesn't matter if you're with a Kardashian or you're with someone named Stacy,
Nostradamus?
like Nostradamus. It's a flipping. You're flipping the coin. But to go into the Kanye, to go into a Lamar Odom, to go into a Scott Disick,
yeah.
You know what you're going into. You already know what you're going into. So I don't feel bad for either one of them when it comes to going through a public breakup with a Kardashian, because you have a motive when you go in there. Do you really love this person, or do you want the followers? Do you want the love, or do you want status in a sense? So to go back to what Lindsay said, I'm feeling for those kids. As a product of a divorce, my parents got divorced, and we spend Christmases in Richmond, Virginia, or Hampton, Virginia, with different sides of the family. My mom never had a sex tape. My dad has never come out and said that my mom, I wanted to abort one of the kids or anything like that. So when Lindsay talks about her being able to understand these things at 7, just think of what it's going to be like at 17 when she's in high school.
I hear you.
That's what I've been thinking of.
I hear you. I agree with you. The thing about Kim, and I really like Kim Kardashian, actually. I've always been a big fan. I think she's a smart woman with a good family. They don't do drugs. They don't drink a ton. They always stick together. They're good to the significant others like Lamar Odom when they all ran and protected him. I don't think it's going to be acrimonious because I think they're going to try and keep it civil. But I wonder if you think Kim Kardashian, because she's becoming a lawyer and she's doing so much with getting people out of jail and trying to do police reform, that she might go into politics and maybe meet a politician. What do you think about that, Linz? Do you see that as a follow-up, maybe someone a little more stable, that she can be a Jackie O? I know she's always wanted to be a Jackie O. She bought like all of her stuff at auction. What do you think about that concept?
Honestly, based on the family and the show, I don't see her going with the politician route, just because I don't think that she would be okay with all the rules that comes with it, which is why she does prison reform on her own, takes on the cases that she wants to take on. And I know when you get into that political life, as we've seen with Michelle Obama and her whole book, or as we've seen with Melania and how much she's just criticized, that's a different role to take on, and where you can't be as outspoken. And this is a woman who makes a huge career off of television shows and being honest and as authentic as her family says they are. So I don't know about just shutting that all down just to be somebody's wife of a politician, or if she runs herself, be a politician and then stay kind of in line and traditional with politics.
Yeah.
And Lindsay, what politician is going to want that baggage on his or his end? Because
Someone
we talk
who wants
about
a lot of votes.
I was just going to say that.
We talk about President Trump. We talk about Melania with her racy photos. She has a sex tape. Forget her racy photos. You can see stuff. You know what I'm saying?
But that didn't stop Melania from being first lady.
Wait, but I do think that we're in a time where, at some point our next president down the line is going to be somebody who is all over TikTok, all over Instagram, probably doing inappropriate stuff. And so give it 20 years, and that's what we're going to start to see, people that have things that they have to explain. And actually the public is not going to be criticizing them so much by what they did in their 20s or even late teens.
I mean, remember Bill Clinton said, I smoked pot, but I didn't inhale? And then it was all of a sudden, Barack Obama's like, well, did you inhale? And he's like, yeah, that's how you smoke pot. Like, the climate changes and things become acceptable and normalized, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what Brandon's saying. There are still people who they don't look upon that fondly, right? Yeah. So that will influence the vote. But on the other hand, look at how many influencers the whole family has as a whole. Yeah. Right? Yeah, there's a lot of votes there. Sure. I just hope whoever she goes with next, and to be perfectly honest here, is a good father, is willing to look after the kids. Because that's who ultimately is going to be hurting in this whole thing.
And good stability, right? Like someone really stable for her, because it's been up and down.
That goes under the list of good fathers.
You're the worst. Lindsay, don't go away.
What about Kanye? Who's he going to end up with?
Oh. I think with himself.
I'm praying for Kanye. Listen, he's going through something serious. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, that's a good note to be serious on. And if you are going through something as well, make sure you get some help. We are serious about that. Well, coming up, a morbid mystery when human remains show up on a mantle. How did it get there? And the bigger question is why? That's in True Crime Chronicles. And get this, the CEO of Whole Foods, the store fondly known as Whole Paycheck, says people should just eat better to be more healthy. Is he out of touch, or does he have a point?
Republican Senators Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley are among dozens of Republican lawmakers who plan to object to some electoral votes Wednesday. So let's break down how they can do this and what it means. Our main source is the Electoral Count Act of 1887 and multiple Congressional Research Service reports. So the Electoral Count Act of 1887 gives all members of Congress a way to object to electoral votes. If at least one member from the House and at least one member from the Senate agree to an objection, it forces the House and Senate to debate the vote. They have 2 hours to debate and vote on each objection. An objection only succeeds if both the House and Senate agree. So what will likely happen Wednesday? Well, Republicans in the House and Senate have already said they'll object, but it's unlikely those objections will go anywhere because of the current setup of Congress. Namely, Democrats hold a majority in the House and are unlikely to approve of an objection. So what about Vice President Mike Pence? The president tweeted Tuesday that Pence can, quote, reject fraudulently chosen electors, but that's false. The Constitution and 3 U.S. Code 15 give Congress the power to reject electors, not the vice president. So realistically, on Wednesday, there will be objections, and that will cause delays in the counting of electoral votes. But historically, the Electoral College vote has never been overturned, and that's not likely to happen this week. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
Welcome back to DBL. Is there an easy solution to the healthcare crisis in America? Well, according to the CEO of Whole Foods, it all comes down to healthy eating. There's John Mackey right there for you.
Mac and roll.
No, Mackey.
I got you.
Okay. Here's what he said on a recent episode of Freakonomics Radio. Take a listen, then we'll discuss after.
The best solution is not to need health care. The best solution is to change the way people eat, the way they live, the lifestyle and diet. There's no reason why people shouldn't be healthy and have a longer health span. A bunch of drugs is not going to solve the problem.
Huh. Here's the thing, though. He's getting a ton of backlash for those comments because people on social media saying he's out of touch with the way many Americans live, especially people who don't have the money or access to healthy food options. So the question is he right, or was this out of touch? I got a lot of tweets that I looked up. Even Representative Ilhan Omar said Whole Foods cut thousands from their health care. Now 2,000 of them are dealing with COVID. Someone said a $2.99 apple a day keeps the doctor away. Basically, I found this so painful, really. Painful, because if you're living in a food desert, which is what they're called, you don't have healthy foods, you have 2 jobs, the easiest and cheapest thing is to get a KFC bucket for your family of 4, then don't be shamed by this dude who's a gazillionaire who went against Obamacare in 2009. Brandon, do you agree or no?
I mean, I agree with him to a certain extent because he also said a lifestyle. You eating KFC, I understand that you may not have the money to go get healthy food, but you can still take a 30-minute walk throughout the day.
Not if I'm working 2 jobs, exhausted, and have 4 kids.
You can still take a 30-minute walk during the day. You can still take your kids for a walk.
But that's not what he's saying. He's saying if you eat, you won't need health care. And some people are saying that's absolutely absurd.
And I agree with that. So this is where I'm like, this guy, I understand his message, but a rich person like that, that's worth $100 million, and I believe Whole Foods is owned by Jeff Bezos. So you two, your combined wealth have enough money to wipe out hunger throughout the entire world.
Yeah.
And he's just saying it like, oh, you should just go get one of our kales, which costs like $100 million at Whole Foods anyway. But I understand what he's saying, but you're going to get backlash because of that, because of who the messenger is.
I think it's taken out of context a little bit here. I listened to him on Joe Rogan's podcast in long form, which I think that's where things are going because you take these clip bites, sound bites, and people just jump all over them. I think what he's trying to address, what I think the nation needs to address, is our obesity problem, right? I understand Whole Foods, not everybody could afford. He talks about trying to bring some of those costs down. But I've lived off of a small budget when I was in LA, and I used to get a chicken from like Ralph's and eat half in the morning, half at night. I'd go to the dollar store and get packages of tuna fish, and I didn't have a lot of money, but I chose to find a healthier way in addition to exercising. I'm not shaming anybody. I'm not saying there are people with problems that they need some sort of medication. That's not what I'm saying, because you're going to take what he's saying and then what I'm saying totally out of context. I'm saying we need to address this issue in America because it's killing more people than COVID.
And I hear you, and Lindsay, I want to get your take. I just think the way he said it seemed to say the problem is the people and not the corporations that could build healthy foods in food deserts. Lindsay, how did you take it?
Yeah, I don't think it's a difference between picking KFC over the store-bought grocery store chicken. I really think it's the idea that if you have $50 and you're a family of 4, the frozen foods, honestly, and the frozen, boxed foods are going to last you much longer if you have to feed that family for the entire month versus healthy things that will go bad that you can buy immediately with that same $50. And so I think we have to just be cognizant that it's not just people out there wasting their money on McDonald's and doing things like that. And when it comes from somebody who oversees Whole Foods, where the prices even outprice middle-class families that don't have that many kids, I mean, that's why it just seems a bit tone deaf.
Yeah, I agree. Someone wrote in too, I used to work at Whole Foods and they would take every piece of leftover food and put it in the trash and chain it so the homeless couldn't get it. And it's just like not a great look that he hasn't been someone very philanthropic, let's say, in the past, John Mackey. But you can disagree with me. Coming up on DBL, how did a real-life human skull end up on a mantle? It's a bizarre mystery next in True Crime Chronicles.
Welcome back to DBL. We first told you about this chilling story in October. A skull sat on a mantle inside a home. Investigators later realized it was the remains of a missing man. Here's an update in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
It's one of the most bizarre and twisted cases Tennessee investigators have seen in years.
Now, this next story could be upsetting for some of you. Authorities say a dog found a human skull that was then later placed on a fireplace mantle inside a rental home.
Let's go back to where it all began. It was spring 2019. The Sexton family rented out their Tennessee home to a new resident, Brian Kennedy. That March, the homeowner's son stopped by the rental and noticed something odd. He spotted a skull on the fireplace mantle wearing sunglasses, so he asked the new homeowner about it. Brian said he was walking in the woods near the home when his dog spotted the skull.
A homeowner in Bell County found a human skull in their backyard. They found it in the Pineville community off Harbell Road.
He brought it inside and put it on his fireplace. The landlord turned it over to forensic experts in Knoxville, where they quickly realized it belonged to a missing man, 79-year-old Junior Willie McCann. He went missing from his home in September 2012 and was never seen again by his family. So, who was this man and how did he die? There's speculation he could have been killed by a family member who is now dead. For now, police are following every lead and tip, and it's still a very active case.
Earlier, Tori and I spoke with a reporter who's working on this case. Take a look.
We're joined by senior investigative journalist John North from 10 News in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thank you for being here, John. The skull unbelievably sat on a fireplace for a year before anyone noticed. Do you believe that the new tenant Brian had any idea it was a real skull or a missing person, or was it just a mantle piece of art?
Well, common sense would dictate he had to know it was the real thing. His dog had found it, some months before when they had been out walking. I've seen pictures of it. It's a human skull. It's not a white plastic skull. So, yeah, I have to suspect he knew it was a human being, and they had also found Native American remains often and other evidence of them in the woods behind that house before. So my guess is he knew what it was, but I guess he just didn't think anything about it.
Wow.
What do you think happened to this missing man? Do you think his family was involved in his disappearance in any way?
There have been some rumors and some suspicion in the community that that's what happened. Mr. McCann had gone for a walk. He lived in the house where the skull many years later would be placed on the mantle. He disappeared. He was about 79, and then his brother reported him missing about 4 days later. So something happened to him, and it took a little while before anybody said, well, where's Junior?
That's the problem, that time in between.
A lot of questions here.
So many questions.
If my dog found the skull, I think I'd notify somebody.
That would be normal common sense, Jeffrey, yes. John, what will it take to break this case, and what new leads are police pursuing?
They don't really have a whole lot right now, Tori, and honestly, time is the enemy.
Right.
Because it was so long after the skull was realized that it was sitting on the mantle. The best that they've been able to do in recent months is to confirm that it was Junior. They've only got the skull. When they did a search of the woods behind the house, they found no other parts. There's no evidence of foul play in regards to the skull, so they don't really have a whole lot to work with.
There's so many questions.
When is this appearing on Netflix, John?
Well, I think you could do a whole season about East Tennessee, or maybe a whole 10 years.
Wow. I mean, that is a
lot of very interesting, though. A lot of
twists and turns, and wondering what people knew and what they didn't know. To learn more about this story, I will be doing this. Just visit WBIR.com. You can also listen to a brand new podcast episode about this case. You just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. John, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Social media is lit up with all sorts of opinions about the Electoral College vote. But here on the Verify team, we ignore all that and stick with the facts. Congress is about to count the electoral votes certified by each state back in December, and several lawmakers say that they plan to object. So we're going to verify if they object to votes for Biden, do the electoral votes go to President Trump? Here are sources: Asim Mulji, a legal counsel at the Campaign Legal Center, and Sai Prakash, a constitutional law professor at the University of Virginia School of Law. We also read the federal statutes about electoral votes. First, here's how the objection process works. For an objection to pass, a senator and a House representative must put it in writing. The two chambers will then split off and debate the objection before voting. For an objection to be accepted, both the Senate and the House have to approve it. So back to our original question, where do the votes go if the objection passes?
Rejection means that that state just won't be counted. Every single person in that state will basically be disenfranchised by both houses deciding not to count their electoral votes.
Prakash agrees that it's just a matter of whether or not the votes are counted.
If the governor certifies one slate, then they are counted unless, again, both chambers think there's something amiss and say that they should not be counted.
We also read through the federal statutes about counting electoral votes, and yeah, nowhere does it say that if an objection succeeds, the opponent would get the votes. So we can verify that no, if an objection passes, President Trump would not get those votes. Reporting here at the Capitol of the Seven, Kozlov with your Verify.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. All right. A lot of you didn't care about Kanye and Kim, and you made that very clear, so we thank you.
Oh, neither did we.
Barb says from Facebook, who cares what the final straw was? Deb says, not surprised, too much water under the bridge. Yeah. And finally, Maxine says, nobody cares. I got a divorce 3 years ago. Guess what? I'm not the only one.
Yeah, but again, to go back to, I know people don't necessarily care about them, even though they're the most watched show on television. Right. Nobody cares. I think you need to care about the mental health aspect of it, right? And kind of use it as your own platform, because like you said, 51% of marriages end in divorce. Use it as a platform how they handle it and see how they handle it, which is going to be interesting.
And it's not always easy, just so you know, for Kim to have been the caregiver. That's a hard position to be in, so we give her props for that. All right, DBL's new every day. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.
About today on Daily Blast Live.
The CEO of Whole Foods gets slammed for suggesting Americans wouldn't need health care if they'd eat better. DBL Nation, do you agree, or is he just all wrong? In today's True Crime Chronicles, a disturbing mystery surrounding a skull sitting on a mantle.
It's a human skull. It's not a white plastic skull.
What led investigators to realize it was actually the remains of a missing man. Is it really over for Kim and Kanye? The new talk of divorce for the couple, as many wonder what was the final straw. And The Weeknd shocks fans with his over-the-top plastic surgery look for a music video. Does this go too far, or are you into his extreme artistic choices?
But then you saw me, caught you by surprise.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, January 6th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Tori. Al joining us from home. All right, let's get started with the big news of the day. Of course, there was a runoff election yesterday for the 2 Senate seats in Georgia. And while we, of course, are following it, we're going to hold off talking about it until it's official. You know, we're going to have a lot to say, so stay tuned for that. Instead, we're going to talk about what many of our viewers have already written in about Kim and Kanye and their alleged divorce. They've reportedly been in marriage counseling, and living separate lives. Now, multiple sources say they are about to call it quits. Page 6 is reporting that Kim hired this divorce lawyer, Laura Wasser, but others are saying Kim's been paying her for years to be on standby. Kim has also been seen recently without her giant engagement ring. The couple got married in 2014. They have 4 kids. Very important here. So what led to this potential breaking point for the famous couple? There was Kanye's failed run for president. Initially, Kim seemed to support him, but then this happened. Kanye seemed to lose it during this unscripted speech. He even disclosed, if you remember, some very personal details about their first child together, North, which reportedly left Kim shocked. Kanye also talked about wanting to divorce Kim after news of a private meeting between her and rapper Meek Mill at a Beverly Hills hotel. The couple, again, they have 4 children, which, of course, any parent out there, you know, it complicates any potential breakup, along with a reported $2.2 billion fortune. Okay, so we are not going to make this gossipy. Anybody going through a divorce, whether you love Kim and Kanye, whether you hate them, we don't wish that upon anybody. And in fact, I think this is the one time we can actually relate to this couple. Right? So many of our viewers that are going through divorce, have been divorced. We know that there's many things that can cause a breaking point, whether it be politics, whether it be mental health issues. I can speak to that, and I'll get to that, or whether it just be growing apart. What do you think was the breaking point, Tori?
I think it's the second he mentioned North in that speech, as we mentioned, and he said, we almost aborted Northwest. He came out of nowhere with that, and I think that's something that Kim, for her children are very private. I know she's a very public person. I know all about that. But you don't see her speak a lot about North in that way. I think she was over at that point. They tried. But when you're a caregiver to someone with a mental health disease, it ain't easy. It's a lot, and Kanye's a lot. So I think she did her best, but it's not easy being in that role either.
I think, going to that point, I think being married to a Kardashian is a lot.
Totally
right?
fair.
We made 3 points of why the marriage broke up because of Kanye. Well, everyone in that whole family has been divorced, right? They all have failed relationships. So I don't think this falls exactly on Kanye. I think it's hard to be in that family, in that tight-knit group, you know? So listen, I'd say Kanye, I'm trying to defend Kanye here because of his mental health. And again, I don't want to get gossipy like you said, but mental health is a serious issue that we all need to focus on as a country, especially in 2021, what we just went through with COVID, people losing their business, their family members, friends, socialization, we're all missing out on that. That all has to do with your mental health, right? So we all need to focus on that, not give Kanye a pass, but learn from him and learn as these, hopefully they are an example to other people out there other than just bashing them because they're Kim and Kanye.
Al?
Really quickly, guys, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I'll just say this. If you ever look at a college textbook, psychology textbook that has all the different kinds of maladies that can go on from the neck above. You think about the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mental illnesses that have been so well documented they're in college textbooks. Well, that's not just in a book. That's out here in real life. We all get married, as most people get married to someone, and the chances are you will marry somebody with some form of mental illness. Will it manifest itself radically or maybe on a low level? We don't know, but we all need training on what to do if our partner loses the thread. What do we do? And I don't think anybody is equipped with these tools. We're just told love for better or for worse, and then you're sent out the door, and maybe you have a partner that's schizophrenic. Now what do you do? Do you stay with them forever? Do you stop? We need to talk about mental health because every conversation that we've ever had in this show always indirectly leads back to that.
Well, listen, I don't disagree with any of you here. This is coming from someone that's been very open about her own mental health issues, but I do think that I'm very empathetic. I'm careful with saying giving someone a pass, considering that Kanye West has had all the resources, right? He's talked openly that he's sought help for his mental health issues. He's been on treatment. He's also been very forthright that he's gone off of treatment. So at some point, you have to take responsibility for yourself. At some point, I'm not saying it's easy. Believe me, I did not want to treat my depression. I did not want to treat my anxiety, my OCD. The list goes on. And then when I battled postpartum depression, it took everything in me to finally get help. It's the one disease, as you always say, Tori, that you do not want to treat. But if I did not take that role, who knows where my husband and I would be today.
Yeah, and I don't Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Okay, and I'll be completely honest with our viewers. If I did not seek treatment for my postpartum depression, and let me tell you, my husband was so supportive, but you're not your best self. I don't think our marriage would have survived. And then my 2 children would be in a broken family. And that is a sobering moment for me to realize. So I definitely think that Kanye's mental health issues has impacted their marriage, but at what point does he need to advocate for himself, advocate to be a better husband, advocate, if this is the case, advocate to be a better father and a person? And I also think that it amplifies your worst self. So Kanye and his best self is still, in my opinion, a complete narcissist, a complete entitled, selfish person. This is just my opinion. And I don't think that those things change once you get treatment unless you can work on those things as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I was just going to chime in. I thought you were done talking. I apologize.
No.
I was just going to chime in and say, when you say mental health, it doesn't necessarily mean you're Kanye. That's where the stigma comes in. Mental health could be like, I'm depressed from reading social media. Right. I'm depressed because my career's not going the way I am. That's mental health. Working out has to do with mental health. Feeling good about yourself is mental health. And we conflate that with all of a sudden you're crazy and you're Kanye and you're on this different level. That's the stigma we need to get rid of.
Al, quickly, and then I'm going to read some comments because our viewers are chiming in quickly.
I was just going to say, Jeff, and the thing that you're talking about, how many people have depression and don't know that they have it? How many people have a partner that has what I have, attention deficit disorder, and don't know that they have it, and they just think that they're messy or scatterbrained? They're people with these issues, but we can't identify them because we're not taught what to look for, and it manifests itself in all these divorces that we're seeing.
That is so well said. And just one thing to leave our viewers, if you yourself are going through it, if you're feeling down, if you have someone, your partner, someone in your life that you suspect is depressed or has mental health issues, please, please, please help them, empower them, advocate for themselves, because it really can save a marriage. Really quickly, Joy says, I think the final straw was when he revealed Kim almost aborted their child to the public.
That was it.
Jan says, Kim going to be taking that money from old Kanye. Not sure about that. Lisa says, faked for publicity. They will work it out in counseling. And then finally, I think the final straw was when he revealed, again, the abortion. So, wow. Well, we appreciate all your thoughts as always. Al, stick around. Coming up on DBL, The Weeknd shows off an entirely new look in his latest music video. Why his face, not his music, is getting all the buzz. Plus, a morbid mystery when human remains show up on a mantle. How did it get there? And the bigger question, why? That's in True Crime Chronicles. And the CEO of Whole Foods, you know, the store fondly known as Whole Paycheck, says people should just eat better to be more healthy. Is he out of touch, or does he have a point?
Social media is lit up with all sorts of opinions about the Electoral College vote. But here on the Verify team, we ignore all that and stick with the facts. Congress is about to count the electoral votes certified by each state back in December. And several lawmakers say that they plan to object. So we're going to verify. If they object to votes for Biden, do the electoral votes go to President Trump? Here are our sources. Asim Mulji, a legal counsel at the Campaign Legal Center, and Sai Prakash, a constitutional law professor at the University of Virginia School of Law. We also read the federal statutes about electoral votes. First, here's how the objection process works. For an objection to pass, the senator and a House representative must put it in writing. The two chambers will then split off and debate the objection before voting. For an objection to be accepted, both the Senate and the House have to approve it. So back to our original question, where do the votes go if the objection passes?
Rejection means that that state just won't be counted. Every single person in that state will basically be disenfranchised by both houses deciding not to count their electoral votes.
Prakash agrees that it's just a matter of whether or not the votes are counted.
If the governor certifies one slate, then they are counted unless, again, both chambers think there's something amiss and say that they should not be counted.
We also read through the federal statutes about counting electoral votes, and yeah, nowhere does it say that if an objection succeeds, the opponent would get the votes. So we can verify that no, if an objection passes, President Trump would not get those votes. Reporting here at the Capitol of the Seven, Kozlov with your Verify.
Welcome back to DBL. Is there an easy solution to the healthcare crisis in America? Well, according to the CEO of Whole Foods, it all comes down to healthy eating. Here's what he said on a recent episode of Freakonomics Radio. Take a listen.
The best solution is not to need health care. The best solution is to change the way people eat, the way they live, the lifestyle and diet. There's no reason why people shouldn't be healthy and have a longer health span. A bunch of drugs is not going to solve the problem.
So here's the thing. He's getting a ton of backlash for those comments. People on social media saying that he's out of touch with the way many Americans live, especially people who don't have the money or access to healthy food options. So the question is he right? Is he out of touch? Tori, what do you think?
I think he was wrong and out of touch. I think he sounded so high and mighty in this. Some people live, if you don't know, that's called a food desert, right? Where you live in, let's say, a more rural area, and there isn't a Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. There's a KFC, a Burger King, and a Wendy's, and maybe
or a liquor store.
Right, or a liquor store or a 7-Eleven, right? And that's where you can get your food. And if you're working 2 jobs, you get a bucket of KFC because that's the cheapest thing, right? And you don't have the time to cook dinner. So not only did that come across as odd, I thought that when people are having issues with other health issues right now, healthcare is so direly needed. To say we don't need a healthcare industry goes back to his 2009 op-ed where he said we don't need Obamacare, we just need to take better care of our bodies. That's called privilege. And I think that's what he looks like.
Listen, what he said there, that soundbite doesn't sound great, right? But I listened to him on Joe Rogan's podcast in long form, and I think that's how we have to start taking things, right? We can't take little sound bites and then, attack people like that. His message, I think, is good, on the other hand, from what Tori said. Obesity in this country is something we need to take seriously and look at, right? It's killed more people with its symptoms than COVID. And look how serious we take COVID. Eating healthy is something our country needs to focus on. And I get people can't afford some of that. Whole Foods is talking about bringing down its costs. But when I lived in LA, I wasn't on food stamps. I wasn't in dire needs. But I was broke. And I'd get a rotisserie chicken. I'd eat half for lunch, half for dinner. I'd go to the dollar store and get those packets of tuna. There was fruit options there. There was not the best options, not like Whole Foods, but there were other options. Right? So there's other options and we need to focus on that. I don't want to put anybody down who needs medical attention, who needs pills, but we need to focus on that.
Let's get an expert opinion here. Our Dr. Coley. So there you are. Hey, girl. So Dr. Pyle Coley, what do you make of these comments? And we have to ask you, is healthy eating the answer to many of our healthcare problems in America? Is it more nuanced than that? Give it to us.
You know, it's funny because I agree with everything both Tori and Jeff are saying.
Whoa.
So Tori is absolutely right that there's a few things wrong with his comments. In fact, what really bothered me was the first is it's sending an inaccurate message. There are many conditions that are not fixed by healthy eating, genetic conditions, autoimmune conditions, cancers, and sending that message to people I think is the incorrect thing to say. But the second thing that bothered me, like Tori said, it's completely tone deaf. I mean, I have plenty of patients who work overnight, they can't get on their Peloton and eat their organic food from Whole Foods and keep their blood pressure down. They have to eat what they can get. But I also agree with Jeff that he is making a comment here that's part of a bigger message that I think is somewhat empowering, which is that heart disease is the #1 killer of men and women in the United States and worldwide. And yet the American Heart Association says that 80% of heart attacks and strokes are preventable. So even though he said it in exactly the wrong way without being sensitive and it wasn't completely accurate, I think there's a hidden message, which is that we need to be empowered to prevent heart disease and stroke and take ownership of our health.
It's also the education. Thank you so much, Dr. Coley. The education and I look back at the school that I went to, and if you are eating what the cafeteria gives you every day, which a lot of my friends did because they were in lower income households, they were left eating complete processed crap.
It's junk.
So I think not only making sure that the schools are supplying fresh food for all children, but also educating children on how to take care of themselves so they can advocate for themselves and know what to buy themselves as they get older. It starts with the youth because, man, I feel like we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, it's chicken nuggets and nothing and butter.
Dr. Coley, before you go, whose answer was the best?
Was it mine? It was mine, right?
Don't answer, Dr. Coley. Do not answer. We love you.
You're the best, Dr.
We'll be right back.
It was mine.
People are...
Welcome back to DBL. We first told you about this chilling story in October. A skull sat on a mantle inside a home. Investigators later realized it was the remains of a missing man. Here's an update in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
It's one of the most bizarre and twisted cases Tennessee investigators have seen in years.
Now, this next story could be upsetting for some of you. Authorities say a dog found a human skull that was then later placed on a fireplace mantle inside a rental home.
Let's go back to where it all began. It was spring 2019. The Sexton family rented out their Tennessee home to a new resident, Brian Kennedy. That March, the homeowner's son stopped by the rental and noticed something odd. He spotted a skull on the fireplace mantle wearing sunglasses, so he asked the new homeowner about it. Brian said he was walking in the woods near the home when his dog spotted the skull.
A homeowner in Bell County found a human skull in their backyard. They found it in the Pineville community off Harbell Road.
He brought it inside and put it on his fireplace. The landlord turned it over to forensic experts in Knoxville, where they quickly realized it belonged to a missing man, 79-year-old Junior Willie McCann. He went missing from his home in September 2012 and was never seen again by his family. So, who was this man? And how did he die? There's speculation he could have been killed by a family member who is now dead. For now, police are following every lead and tip, and it's still a very active case.
Earlier, Tori and I spoke with a reporter who's working on this case. Take a look.
We're joined by senior investigative journalist John North from 10 News in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thank you for being here, John. The skull unbelievably sat on a fireplace for a year before anyone noticed. Do you believe that the new tenant Brian had any idea it was a real skull or a missing person, or was it just a mantle piece of art?
Well, common sense would dictate he had to know it was the real thing. His dog had found it, some months before when they had been out walking. I've seen pictures of it. It's a human skull.
Oh.
It's not a white plastic skull. So, yeah, I have to suspect he knew it was a human being, and they had also found Native American remains often and other evidence of them in the woods behind that house before. So my guess is he knew what it was, but I guess he just didn't think anything about it.
Wow.
What do you think happened to this missing man? Do you think his family was involved in his disappearance in any way?
There have been some rumors and some suspicion in the community that that's what happened. Mr. McCann had gone for a walk. He lived in the house where the skull many years later would be placed on the mantle. He disappeared. He was about 79, and then his brother reported him missing about 4 days later. So something happened to him, and it took a little while before anybody said, well, where's Junior?
That's the problem, that time in between.
A lot of questions here.
So many questions.
If my dog found the skull, I think I'd notify somebody.
That would be normal common sense, Jeffrey, yes. John, what will it take to break this case, and what new leads are police pursuing?
They don't really have a whole lot right now, Tori, and honestly, time is the enemy.
Right.
Because it was so long after the skull was realized that it was sitting on the mantle. The best that they've been able to do in recent months is to confirm that it was Junior. They've only got the skull. When they did a search of the woods behind the house, they found no other parts. There's no evidence of foul play in regards to the skull, so they don't really have a whole lot to work with.
There's so many questions.
When is this appearing on Netflix, John?
Well, I think you could do a whole season about
Right?
East Tennessee, or maybe a whole 10 years.
Wow. I mean, that is a
lot of very interesting though. A lot of
a lot of twists and turns and wondering what people knew and what they didn't know. To learn more about this story, I will be doing this. Just visit WBIR.com. You can also listen to a brand new podcast episode about this case. You just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. John, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. A lot of comments in regard to the Whole Foods commentary guy. So Jan says people are going to eat what they like, want. It's a choice, and it's none of his business. Randy says, what makes Dr. Coley an expert? Well, she's a cardiologist, graduated top of her class from Harvard University. Also, I believe her undergrad at MIT, she had a flawless, perfect GPA.
She did.
Very
Perfect
qualified.
attendance.
What makes you a critic?
Okay, and remember to watch
I'm sticking up for our doctor. That's right.
Thank you, Jeff. Remember to watch DBL on Facebook or YouTube. We'll read your comments on TV. It's your chance to be part of our table, part of our DBL Nation. If you're sticking around, here's what's coming up. British comedian Rowan Atkinson says cancel culture is like a medieval mob. And The Weeknd has a new face. Stay tuned.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Wow, welcome to DBL, you guys. That was The Weeknd looking a little different in the new video for his song Save Your Tears. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Tori. Al joining us from home. So The Weeknd is at it again, and as we saw, he has a dramatically different face in his new video. Some fans wondered if he had gone under the knife, but it looks like it's just the work of a good makeup artist, maybe some prosthetics. Last year, the singer showed up to a number of award shows with his face beat up or covered in bandages. It was all reference to his Blinding Lights video, which he apparently, I mean, he's gone back and forth on this. Like, I really wanted him to take a strong stance on,
me too.
You know, drinking and driving and not to drink and drive, and that was what his video was about. And he seemed to backpedal from that, but since then, he has said that that was his goal, to warn people about drinking and driving.
Yes.
Why do people seem, I'm reading our comments, kind of like aloof when it comes to The Weeknd? What's going on here?
I don't think anyone understands really what he's doing, right? He wears those bandages over and over. People didn't get what it was originally. Now he's, you know, in this video, he's referencing like throwing an award down, which I think is in reference to the Grammys. I'm not sure. And then there's a point where he puts a gun to his head, right? Like he's going to almost kill himself. I don't want to trigger anybody out there, but I don't know what he's going through. But if this is all over you not getting a Grammy this year, it seems a little outrageous to me.
Yeah, he also apparently uses a double of Selena Gomez in there to reference something that went on with their relationship at some point as well. But there's something with his face he's clearly into, but masking it, deforming it, marring it. And some artists do that, you know. A lot of people change. Bowie always was a little bit more androgynous. I just never got his message, and because of that, I've sort of lost interest.
Yeah, so what are we missing now? Because he's a fantastic artist.
Yeah, like his songs.
Yeah, many people argue that he should have won a Grammy, considering the critical acclaim attached to his recent album, how successful it was on the top 100 charts. But why are we missing? Because Lady Gaga will experiment with prosthetics.
Yeah.
What is it that people are missing when it comes to The Weeknd?
You know, my favorite comic of all time, George Carlin, he released an album called Life is Worth Losing, and it was a pretty dark album. He talked about just the end of the world, maybe that life is worthless. And it came out years later that it was right after the death of his wife. And I really do believe that art imitates life. I think, Tori, you are correct. Something is going on where he's constantly altering his face. People are punching him in the face in his videos. He's bandaged.
It says something.
He's altering it. Yes, Jeff, you are correct with the images of a hypothetical suicide, the drunk driving. These things are all manifesting itself right in front of us. And I think we see an artist in pain. And honestly, that's, I think, where a lot of our art comes from. If you look at your record collection, guys, there was probably some pain behind some of your favorite songs.
Wow, well said. Thank you for that, Al. Okay, so the actor famous for playing Mr. Bean has had it with cancel culture. In an interview with Radio Times, Rowan Atkinson compared cancel culture to a medieval mob roaming the streets looking for someone to burn. He added that canceling people you disagree with erodes freedom of speech and prevents people from expressing a wide spectrum of opinions. Tori, you were shaking your head.
Yeah, Jeff and I are going to go at this a little bit because I think cancel culture, I agree, has gone too far. But I also think cancel culture has brought up a group of marginalized people to have a voice in what has been a voiceless time. So when everyone's like, oh, I hate cancel culture, well, that brought about Matt Lauer, Harvey Weinstein, the Me Too movement, the Cleveland Indians. We're talking about a lot of people that never got a chance. And I know it's not cool to say you're canceled, but for some people, it was a relief.
And I agree with you. I don't think we're going to disagree here. I think we're just going to have different forms of opinions. I agree with everything you just said. It's gone too far now, right? People have 140 characters and they write their opinions on Twitter, and it's gone way too far. People are losing jobs. I've lost jobs, myself included, for things I've said 10 years ago. So if you say something that's off-colored, right, whether it be racist, you are now a racist. Your label is a racist when there's true racists out there. When you say something that's off-colored about the LGBTQ community, you are now labeled as homophobic when there's true homophobics out there. Whether you might be Hitler. It's way out of control, and we need to have lanes where there are people who are anti-Semites, there are people who are racist, there are people who are homophobic. If you have one moment in your life, that doesn't automatically make you fall under that umbrella. That's what I'm getting to. And the bigger point here is I'm already thinking about my children in college, in universities, because you cannot have discussions anymore. This is a conversation, right? Us talking, you saying that, and then me coming back at you, Tori. That's a conversation. When you're writing on social media, that's not a conversation, okay? 140 characters is not a conversation. You're not learning, you're not educating yourself, whatever. Universities are not allowed to say anything anymore. They're very liberal, they're very left-sided, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying it's you agree with me or you're out of here. I brought up the mention of the gun with the Weeknd. One professor in a specific, sorry I'm rambling on, but I'm very passionate about this. One professor in a specific case said, did you guys do your homework? Blah, 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 whatever it was. Man, I'm going to kill myself if you guys don't start listening to me. One person went to the dean of that school, and that professor, after 20 years of educating himself to be a professor, almost got thrown out of that university. That's how far things are going. So if you can't challenge or question, not challenge, even question what someone else is saying, whether it be on social media or in your real life about, hey, Al, could you tell me a little bit more about Black Lives Matter? Tori, could you tell me a little bit more about the Holocaust? I'm not being insensitive. I'm not educating myself. I'm trying to be curious and learn more about these things. And if we're going to stifle that, I'm not sending my kids to university.
Yeah, Al, I think Tori and Jeff are both right. Again, I think we've lost discernment.
I don't think so, Sam. I think they're actually both wrong.
Okay, well, really? Okay, so I think we've. Go ahead. We have a delay.
No, I want to hear from you first, please.
Oh, okay. I think that we've lost discernment in this country. I think it's important to cancel like the Harvey Weinsteins and the Matt Lauers who have a history and deserve it. I don't think that they have an avenue to redemption. However, that's an anomaly. That's a small percentage of people. The majority of people are somehow collateral damage in this cancel culture, and that's what I fear. I don't want that to happen to my children, and more importantly, I don't want that road to redemption to be removed, because then you don't feel comfortable speaking out, you don't feel comfortable learning, and you no longer can have a conversation with people. So that to me is debilitating, very dangerous. Albert, you have the floor.
I'll just say this, and this is why I said that I believe my two lovely co-hosts are incorrect. I believe they're arguing a point that does not exist. I do not think cancel culture exists at all. Let's look at a case like Alex Jones. This is a human being that went on every platform that he could and told people that Sandy Hook was a hoax, and to the point where those parents of those murdered children were harassed to the point that some of the people that harassed them went to jail. He laid down on that point until he was hauled into court. Was he canceled for that?
Yes.
Last I checked, he was on Joe Rogan, he was on Joe Rogan, the largest platform in the world.
And he was protested against that.
So what is cancel culture?
Cancel culture is the majority.
What is it if he's
the majority of people don't see, or Alex Jones doesn't have a job in normal.
I don't think he can be on YouTube,
media.
Facebook.
I think he's banned. That's what happens. There are consequences for saying something. He also was convicted in court for defamation against those poor parents.
When he shows up to speak, thousands and thousands of people listen, whether it's YouTube, whether it's some weird stream on the dark web. Alex Jones has a major presence on the right, and there are many platforms that will platform and interview him. There is nobody that doesn't have an audience that is not able to speak to them. There are too many avenues, guys. Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, whatever. You can find your audience all the time. Now, if we're just talking about the 3 major networks in 1984, you can be canceled. In 2021, it's impossible. You can talk right on your phone.
No, I disagree. Tell that to Kevin Hart, who lost his opportunity to host the Oscars. Right? And this is someone that many
Kevin
people...
Hart has 3 Netflix specials on this television right here, Sam. What are you talking about?
But Aziz Ansari lost
He's
many,
3
many...
on there right now.
Unfortunately, there's many people that see him as a homophobe when he has, years later, atoned for those remarks and has grown and evolved and apologized. At what point is he going to be able to earn the respect from those individuals?
Those people are never going to let him back in. It's the same with Michael Vick. There are certain people that, for whatever reason that we don't have enough segments to cover, will never be allowed back in. Where's Aziz Ansari?
I just said that.
I think everybody agrees that he was done wrong. Where's he at?
But Al,
where's his second chance?
That's exactly what we're talking about. The cancel culture got him. When you're talking somebody extreme right like Alex Jones, and I said all colleges were liberal on the left, I'm not talking about all colleges. I'm talking about the extreme left. These are the silent majority that aren't so silent. And that's what networks are looking at this and saying, Al, I've lost jobs over what I said 10 years ago. Aziz Ansari is having trouble getting back in because networks are listening to these crazy people, whether it be on the far left or far right. I did that backwards. But they're listening and they're getting through to these networks.
That's because
it's irresponsible.
It's because the fringe was given a microphone. That's why.
Good conversation. We have to go. Love it. Love you guys.
I'll never cancel you guys.
Never.
Coming up on DBL. You know him from his popular role on CSI. We're talking live to actor Gary Dourdan, what he's up to now. Coming up next.
Social media is lit up with all sorts of opinions about the Electoral College vote. But here on the Verify team, we ignore all that and stick with the facts. Congress is about to count the electoral votes certified by each state back in December, and several lawmakers say that they plan to object. So we're going to verify if they object to votes for Biden, do the electoral votes go to President Trump? Here are our sources: Asim Mulji, a legal counsel at the Campaign Legal Center, and Sai Prakash, a constitutional law professor at the University of Virginia School of Law. We also read the federal statutes about electoral votes. First, here's how the objection process works. For an objection to pass, a senator and a House representative must put it in writing. The 2 chambers will then split off and debate the objection before voting. For an objection to be accepted, both the Senate and the House have to approve it. So back to our original question, where do the votes go if the objection passes?
Rejection means that that state just won't be counted. Every single person in that state will basically be disenfranchised by both houses deciding not to count their electoral votes.
Prakash agrees that it's just a matter of whether or not the votes are counted.
If the governor certifies one slate, then they are counted unless, again, both chambers think there's something amiss and say that they should not be counted.
We also read through the federal statutes about counting electoral votes, and yeah, nowhere does it say that if an objection succeeds, the opponent would get the votes. So we can verify that no, if an objection passes, President Trump would not get those votes. Reporting here at the Capitol of the 7 Kozloff with your Verify.
Welcome back to DBL. Gary Dourdan has been a fixture on many of our TVs. And as a fan favorite, Warwick Brown on CSI Crime Scene Investigation. And now he's leading Man on the big screen in Redemption Day. I can't wait to see this. Take a look.
Captain, thoughts? It's been 24 hours. We have not heard from El Hadi. That is alarming. We need intel on the ground now, sir, and not just from the Algerians. Once we find them, we can extract them.
Wow, there you are, Gary. Welcome to DBL. Happy New Year. Okay.
Thank you.
So we have
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We have so much that we want to talk to you about, especially this new film. But since we are all collectively relieved that 2020 is over, we want to know from you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exhale, right?
Let's leave the past in the past, shall we?
I like it. I like the way you think. How are you looking ahead into 2021, Gary?
Well, with all opportunities. First of all, I'd like to send a shout out to Raphael Warnock for winning and being a fantastic win for him, and John Ossoff as well. So that was fantastic. I'm here in Atlanta shooting another project.
And Stacey Abrams, who led the initiative.
I adore her. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Blessings to all of them. I'm here in Atlanta, and a lot of people were out campaigning and getting people to vote yesterday. We had the cast. We were doing a Zoom table read. You know what? This has been a challenge. Just the technology working from your home or your hotel room with trying to figure out the lights and, you know.
Tricky.
Hopefully by the end of this, I'll be a really good TV director. That's 2021 is teaching us all how to DIY.
In the most horrendous way. My light is terrible at home. Okay, you meant we mentioned it's terrible. You played Warwick Brown on CSI Crime Scene Investigation, which of course was one of the biggest shows in the world during its long run, even attracting guest directors like Quentin Tarantino. What was it like working with the legendary director? What was that like?
Quentin was awesome. First of all, Quentin's a very personable guy, and he's full of passion. And he gives you back the passion that you had when you got into the arts, because he's such a film buff and he's such a music buff. And he got on the set with us and he brought us together as a cast, and he just said, I like your character. Your character did this, and I remember this episode, and he had seen every episode. Wow. He remembered every piece of things that I had forgotten about. And then he gets on the set and he's just having a good time. He laughs a lot. He's got a very loud, beautiful laugh, and he's full of vibrancy. And I got to hang out with him, and I was hanging out at his house with a bunch of people. He's a really cool dude to work for, and I'm a big fan. Yeah. So that's also a good day at work when you're working around your heroes, you know?
Very cool. Gary, I just have to say off the top, you got these girls a little giggly.
Shut up, Jeff. It's true.
They're laughing a little bit. They're giggling a little bit more than usual, I have to point out.
Okay. What do you mean?
I'm a little jealous.
I'm giggling too.
Thank you.
All right. Break it up, everybody. I have a question to ask. So, Gary, your death on CSI, your character's death on CSI was devastating for fans. But
you're like, the girls are giggling, so you died. So what happened when you died?
Well, the question is,
I see your angle there. I like that.
Gary, you were reportedly dead in real life. What was it like waking up to that news? It had to be crazy.
I don't read the internet, so maybe you read more than I do. I mean, people tell me all kinds of stuff on the internet, but the one good thing that I know is that, you know, you can't believe everything you read on the internet. It's a crazy interweb of information. I'm still alive and kicking. But I was kind of happy because I was like, great, this gives me an opportunity to start again.
Yes.
Maybe a pseudonym.
I know, right? Okay, so we got to talk about Redemption Day. A lot of us are very excited to see it. You play a decorated U.S. Marine, but your character also struggles with PTSD back in his civilian life. Let me tell you, a lot of our viewers can relate to this, including myself personally within my own family. How do you tap into that struggle for your character?
Well, fortunately for me, when I got the script, that was one thing I wanted to concentrate on. I've known quite a few people in the service industry, Navy SEALs, Rangers, Marines, that I've befriended over the years. And a lot of things that they talk about is after they've done their duty and they've come back home to work in civilian life, it's a lot more difficult because they're not sure who has their back. You know, a lot of times people in the workplace are not often instilled with the same amount of principles and honor systems as they are on the force and in the armed service. So that part of the character I wanted to flesh out a little bit more, and I wanted to give him some more dimensions. And I think the PTSD thing is very prevalent in our armed services community. And I wanted to bring some notice to that.
Yeah.
And maybe do a bit of an honor because I crafted my character off of a few friends that I know that are career Navy SEALs.
Wow. Wow.
So hopefully that comes across.
Wow, so personal to you. And I just thank you for helping destigmatize PTSD. And we cannot wait to see the film. Redemption Day comes out in theaters on January 8th and digital on demand January 12th.
That's my birthday.
Okay, Gary Dourdan.
Really?
Yeah, boo.
Happy pre-birthday.
Thank you, Gary.
So hopefully you'll be sitting down with some popcorn on your birthday and a glass of champagne and, you know.
And some Gary.
And some Gary. That's all I need.
That's all we need.
What's up. Yeah. A little popcorn, a little film.
Gary Dourdan, thank you so much for chatting and stopping by.
My
I
pleasure.
apologize on behalf of all of us. We'll be right back. Bye.
No.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about breaking barriers. Check out this story of a woman on a mission to make a mark in her field that's often occupied by men.
This woman is making history as a motorcycle technician. Motorcycle lover Paris McGowan works at Harley-Davidson as the company's first black female technician. For Paris, riding motorcycles is in her blood. Both her parents and uncles have bikes of their own. She visited Harley-Davidson to buy her first bike.
kind of tiny. When people see me on my bike, they're just like, oh my gosh, that's a girl.
Eventually, Paris decided she wanted to repair motorcycles too.
You ride it, you want to fix it yourself.
She underwent training at the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute.
I was the only female in all of my classes. Everybody kind of thought of me as like the weakest link, but I showed a lot of them up.
Now at Harley-Davidson, Paris has earned her coworkers' respect.
Don't listen to anybody that shuts you down from your dreams.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Tomorrow on DBL, actor Michael Chiklis, from his starring role as a Border Patrol agent to binge watching in quarantine. He's telling us all about it.
It gets better and better and better.
That's tomorrow right here on DBL.
Welcome back to DBL. Before we go, we have to share this incredible viral video. This is one-year-old Polly Gray from Australia. Oh my gosh, her dad taught her how to skateboard when she was just 10 months. What? That's Miles's age. She has more than 7 million views on TikTok. What? My son can barely, he sat up in his crib and I was like hooting and hollering. Yeah, this kid is riding a skateboard. skateboard.
This kid's doing an ollie. Is that a
good
thing?
job, Tori.
Thanks.
Yeah, you sounded cool just
I knew the
now.
lingo.
What a great dad. As soon as that kid cracks his head open, get that dad out of here. Get that kid away from him.
Cancel.
DBL is new every day. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
About today on Daily Blast Live.
The CEO of Whole Foods gets slammed for suggesting Americans wouldn't need health care if they'd eat better. DBL Nation, do you agree, or is he just all wrong? In today's True Crime Chronicles, a disturbing mystery surrounding a skull sitting on a mantle.
It's a human skull. It's not a white plastic skull.
What led investigators to realize it was actually the remains of a missing man. Is it really over for Kim and Kanye? The new talk of divorce for the couple, as many wonder what was the final straw. And The Weeknd shocks fans with his over-the-top plastic surgery look for a music video. Does this go too far, or are you into his extreme artistic choices?
But then you saw me, caught you by surprise.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, January 6th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Tori. Al joining us from home. All right, let's get started with the big news of the day. Of course, there was a runoff election yesterday for the 2 Senate seats in Georgia. And while we, of course, are following it, we're going to hold off talking about it until it's official. You know, we're going to have a lot to say, so stay tuned for that. Instead, we're going to talk about what many of our viewers have already written in about Kim and Kanye and their alleged divorce. They've reportedly been in marriage counseling and living separate lives. Now, multiple sources say they are about to call it quits. Page 6 is reporting that Kim hired this divorce lawyer, Laura Wasser, but others are saying Kim's been paying her for years to be on standby. Kim has also been seen recently without her giant engagement ring. The couple got married in 2014. They have 4 kids. Very important here. So what led to this potential breaking point for the famous couple? There was Kanye's failed run for president. Initially, Kim seemed to support him, but then this happened. Kanye seemed to lose it during this unscripted speech. He even disclosed, if you remember, some very personal details about their first child together, North, which reportedly left Kim shocked. Kanye also talked about wanting to divorce Kim after news of a private meeting between her and rapper Meek Mill at a Beverly Hills hotel. The couple, again, They have 4 children, which, of course, any parent out there, you know, it complicates any potential breakup, along with a reported $2.2 billion fortune. Okay, so we are not going to make this gossipy. Anybody going through divorce, whether you love Kim and Kanye, whether you hate them, we don't wish that upon anybody. And in fact, I think this is the one time we can actually relate to this couple. Right? So many of our viewers that are going through divorce, have been divorced. We know that there's many things that can cause a breaking point, whether it be politics, whether it be mental health issues. I can speak to that, and I'll get to that. Or whether it just be growing apart. What do you think was the breaking point, Tori?
I think it's the second he mentioned North in that speech, as we mentioned, and he said, we almost aborted Northwest. He came out of nowhere with that, and I think that's something that Kim, for her children are very private. I know she's a very public person. I know all about that. But you don't see her speak a lot about North in that way. I think she was over at that point. They tried. But when you're a caregiver to someone with a mental health disease, it ain't easy. It's a lot, and Kanye's a lot. So I think she did her best, but it's not easy being in that role either.
I think going to that point, I think being married to a Kardashian is a lot.
Totally
right?
fair.
We made 3 points of why the marriage broke up because of Kanye. Well, everyone in that whole family has been divorced, right? They all have failed relationships. So I don't think this falls exactly on Kanye. I think it's hard to be in that family, in that tight-knit group, you know? So listen, I say Kanye, I'm trying to defend Kanye here because of his mental health. And again, I don't want to get gossipy like you said, but mental health is a serious issue that we all need to focus on as a country, especially in 2021, what we just went through with COVID, people losing their business, their family members, friends, socialization, we're all missing out on that. That all has to do with your mental health, right? So we all need to focus on that, not give Kanye a pass, but learn from him and learn as these, hopefully they are an example to other people out there other than just bashing them because they're Kim and Kanye.
Al?
Really quickly, guys, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I'll just say this. If you ever look at a college textbook, psychology textbook that has all the different kinds of maladies that can go on from the neck above. You think about the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mental illnesses that have been so well documented they're in college textbooks. Well, that's not just in a book. That's out here in real life. We all get married, as most people get married to someone, and the chances are you will marry somebody with some form of mental illness. Will it manifest itself radically or maybe on a low level? We don't know. But we all need training on what to do if our partner loses the thread. What do we do? And I don't think anybody is equipped with these tools. We're just told love for better or for worse, and then you're sent out the door, and maybe you have a partner that's schizophrenic. Now what do? Do you stay with them forever? Do you stop? We need to talk about mental health because every conversation that we've ever had in this show always indirectly leads back to that.
Well, listen, I don't disagree with any of you here. This is coming from someone that's been very open about her own mental health issues, but I do think that I'm very empathetic. I'm careful with saying giving someone a pass, considering that Kanye West has had all the resources, right? He's talked openly that he's sought help for his mental health issues. He's been on treatment. He's also been very forthright that he's gone off of treatment. So at some point, you have to take responsibility for yourself. At some point, I'm not saying it's easy. Believe me, I did not want to treat my depression. I did not want to treat my anxiety, my OCD. The list goes on. And then when I battled postpartum depression, it took everything in me to finally get help. It's the one disease, as you always say, Tori, that you do not want to treat. But if I did not take that role, who knows where my husband and I would be today.
Yeah, and I don't Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Okay, and I'll be completely honest with our viewers. If I did not seek treatment for my postpartum depression, and let me tell you, my husband was so supportive, but you're not your best self. I don't think our marriage would have survived. And then my 2 children would be in a broken family. And that is a sobering moment for me to realize. So I definitely think that Kanye's mental health issues has impacted their marriage, but at what point does he need to advocate for himself, advocate to be a better husband, advocate, if this is the case, advocate to be a better father and a person? And I also think that it amplifies your worst self. So Kanye and his best self is still, in my opinion, a complete narcissist. A complete, entitled, selfish person. This is just my opinion. And I don't think that those things change once you get treatment unless you can work on those things as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I was just going to chime in. I thought you were done talking. I apologize.
No.
I was just going to chime in and say, when you say mental health, it doesn't necessarily mean you're Kanye. That's where the stigma comes in. Mental health could be like, I'm depressed from reading social media. Right. I'm depressed because my career's not going the way I am. That's mental health. Working out has to do with mental health. Feeling good about yourself is mental health. And we conflate that with all of a sudden, you're crazy and you're Kanye and you're on this different level. That's the stigma we need to get rid of.
Al, quickly, and then I'm going to read some comments because our viewers are chiming in quickly.
I was just going to say, Jeff, and the thing that you're talking about, how many people have depression and don't know that they have it? How many people have a partner that has what I have, attention deficit disorder, and don't know that they have it, and they just think that they're messy or scatterbrained? They're people with these issues, but we can't identify them because we're not taught what to look for, and it manifests itself in all these divorces that we're seeing.
That is so well said. And just one thing to leave our viewers, if you yourself are going through it, if you're feeling down, if you have someone, your partner, someone in your life that you suspect is depressed or has mental health issues, please, please, please help them, empower them, advocate for themselves, because it really can save a marriage. Really quickly, Joy says, I think the final straw was when he revealed Kim almost aborted their child to the public.
That was it.
Jan says, Kim going to be taking that money from old Kanye. Not sure about that. Lisa says, faked for publicity. They will work it out in counseling. And then finally, I think the final straw was when he revealed, again, the abortion. So, wow. Well, we appreciate all your thoughts as always. Al, stick around. Coming up on DBL, The Weeknd shows off an entirely new look in his latest music video. Why his face, not his music, is getting all the buzz. Plus, a morbid mystery when human remains show up on a mantle. How did it get there? And the bigger question, why? That's in True Crime Chronicles. And the CEO of Whole Foods, you know, the store formerly known as Whole Paycheck, says people should just eat better to be more healthy. Is he out of touch, or does he have a point?
Among dozens of Republican lawmakers who plan to object to some electoral votes Wednesday. So let's break down how they can do this and what it means. Our main source is the Electoral Count Act of 1887 and multiple Congressional Research Service reports. So the Electoral Count Act of 1887 gives all members of Congress a way to object to electoral votes. If at least one member from the House and at least one member from the Senate agree to an objection, it forces the House and Senate to debate the vote. They have 2 hours to debate and vote on each objection. An objection only succeeds if both the House and Senate agree. So what will likely happen Wednesday? Well, Republicans in the House and Senate have already said they'll object, but it's unlikely those objections will go anywhere because of the current setup of Congress. Namely, Democrats hold a majority in the House and are unlikely to approve of an objection. So what about Vice President Mike Pence? The president tweeted Tuesday that Pence can, quote, reject fraudulently chosen electors, but that's false. The Constitution and 3 U.S. Code 15 give Congress the power to reject electors, not the vice president. So realistically, on Wednesday, there will be objections, and that will cause delays in the counting of electoral votes. But historically, the Electoral College vote has never been overturned, and that's not likely to happen this week. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
Welcome back to DBL. Is there an easy solution to the healthcare crisis in America? Well, According to the CEO of Whole Foods, it all comes down to healthy eating. Here's what he said on a recent episode of Freakonomics Radio. Take a listen.
The best solution is not to need health care. The best solution is to change the way people eat, the way they live, the lifestyle and diet. There's no reason why people shouldn't be healthy and have a longer health span. A bunch of drugs is not going to solve the problem.
So here's the thing. He's getting a ton of backlash for those comments. People on social media saying that he's out of touch with the way many Americans live, especially people who don't have the money or access to healthy food options. So the question is he right? Is he out of touch? Tori, what do you think?
I think he was wrong and out of touch. I think he sounded so high and mighty in this. Some people live, if you don't know, that's called a food desert, right? Where you live in, let's say, a more rural area, and there isn't a Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. There's a KFC, a Burger King, and a Wendy's, and maybe
a liquor store.
Right, or a liquor store or a 7-Eleven, right? And that's where you can get your food. And if you're working 2 jobs, you get a bucket of KFC because that's the cheapest thing, right? And you don't have the time to cook dinner. So not only did that come across as odd, I thought that when people are having issues with other health issues right now, healthcare is so direly needed. To say we don't need a healthcare industry goes back to his 2009 op-ed where he said we don't need Obamacare, we just need to take better care of our bodies. That's called privilege. And I think that's what he looks like.
Listen, what he said there, that soundbite doesn't sound great, right? But I listened to him on Joe Rogan's podcast in long form, and I think that's how we have to start taking things, right? We can't take little sound bites and then, attack people like that. His message, I think, is good, on the other hand, from what Tori said. Obesity in this country is something we need to take seriously and look at, right? It's killed more people with its symptoms than COVID. And look how serious we take COVID. Eating healthy is something our country needs to focus on. And I get people can't afford some of that. Whole Foods is talking about bringing down its costs. But when I lived in LA, I wasn't on food stamps. I wasn't in dire needs. But I was broke. And I'd get a rotisserie chicken. I'd eat half for lunch, half for dinner. I'd go to the dollar store and get those packets of tuna. There was fruit options there. There was not the best options, not like Whole Foods, but there were other options, right? So there's other options, and we need to focus on that. I don't want to put anybody down who needs medical attention, who needs pills, but we need to focus on that.
Let's get an expert opinion here. Our Dr. Coley. So there you are. Hey, girl. So Dr. Pyle Coley, what do you make of these comments? And we have to ask you, is healthy eating the answer to many of our healthcare problems in America? Is it more nuanced than that? Give it to us.
You know, it's funny because I agree with everything both Tori and Jeff are saying.
Whoa.
So Tori is absolutely right that there's a few things wrong with his comments. In fact, what really bothered me was the first is it's sending an inaccurate message. There are many conditions that are not fixed by healthy eating, genetic conditions, autoimmune conditions, cancers, and sending that message to people I think is the incorrect thing to say. But the second thing that bothered me, like Tori said, it's completely tone deaf. I mean, I have plenty of patients who work overnight. They can't get on their Peloton and eat their organic food from Whole Foods and keep their blood pressure down. They have to eat what they can get. But I also agree with Jeff that he is making a comment here that's part of a bigger message that I think is somewhat empowering, which is that heart disease is the #1 killer of men and women in the United States and worldwide. And yet the American Heart Association says that 80% of heart attacks and strokes are preventable. So even though he said it in exactly the wrong way without being sensitive and it wasn't completely accurate, I think there's a hidden message, which is that we need to be empowered to prevent heart disease and stroke and take ownership of our health.
It's also the education. Thank you so much, Dr. Coley. The education, and I look back at the school that I went to, and if you are eating what the cafeteria gives you every day, which a lot of my friends did because they were in lower income households, they were left eating complete processed crap.
It's junk.
So I think not only making sure that the schools are supplying fresh food for all children, but also educating children on how to take care of themselves so they can advocate for themselves and know what to buy themselves as they get older. It starts with the youth because, man, I feel like we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, it's chicken nuggets and nothing and butter.
Dr. Coley, before you go, whose answer was the best?
Was it mine? It was mine, right?
Don't answer, Dr. Coley. Do not answer. We love you.
You're the best, Dr.
We'll be right back.
It was mine.
Welcome back to DBL. We first told you about this chilling story in October. A skull sat on a mantle inside a home. Investigators later realized it was the remains of a missing man. Here's an update in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
It's one of the most bizarre and twisted cases Tennessee investigators have seen in years.
Now, this next story could be upsetting for some of you. Authorities say a dog found a human skull that was then later placed on a fireplace mantle inside a rental home.
Let's go back to where it all began. It was spring 2019. The Sexton family rented out their Tennessee home to a new resident, Brian Kennedy. That March, the homeowner's son stopped by the rental and noticed something odd. He spotted a skull on the fireplace mantle wearing sunglasses, so he asked the new homeowner about it. Brian said he was walking in the woods near the home when his dog spotted the skull.
A homeowner in Bell County found a human skull in their backyard. They found it in the Pineville community off Harbell Road.
He brought it inside and put it on his fireplace. The landlord turned it over to forensic experts in Knoxville, where they quickly realized it belonged to a missing man, 79-year-old Junior Willie McCann. He went missing from his home in September 2012 and was never seen again by his family. So, who was this man and how did he die? There's speculation he could have been killed by a family member who is now dead. For now, police are following every lead and tip, and it's still a very active case.
Earlier, Tori and I spoke with a reporter who's working on this case. Take a look.
We're joined by senior investigative journalist John North from 10 News in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thank you for being here, John. The skull unbelievably sat on a fireplace for a year before anyone noticed. Do you believe that the new tenant Brian had any idea it was a real skull or a missing person, or was it just a mantle piece of art?
Well, common sense would dictate he had to know it was the real thing. His dog had found it, you know, some months before when they had been out walking. I've seen pictures of it. It's a human skull. It's not a white plastic skull. So, yeah, I have to suspect he knew it was a human being, and they had also found Native American remains often and other evidence of them in the woods behind that house before. So my guess is he knew what it was, but I guess he just didn't think anything about it.
Wow.
What do you think happened to this missing man? Do you think his family was involved in his disappearance in any way?
There have been some rumors and some suspicion in the community that that's what happened. Mr. McCann had gone for a walk. He lived in the house where the skull many years later would be placed on the mantle. He disappeared. He was about 79, and then his brother reported him missing about 4 days later. So something happened to him, and it took a little while before anybody said, well, where's Junior?
That's the problem, that time in between.
A lot of questions here.
So many questions.
If my dog found the skull, I think I'd notify somebody.
That would be normal common sense, Jeffrey, yes. John, what will it take to break this case, and what new leads are police pursuing?
They don't really have a whole lot right now, Tori, and honestly, time is the enemy.
Right.
Because it was so long after the skull was realized that it was sitting on the mantle. The best that they've been able to do in recent months is to confirm that it was Junior. They've only got the skull. When they did a search of the woods behind the house, they found no other parts. There's no evidence of foul play in regards to the skull, so they don't really have a whole lot to work with.
There's so many questions.
When is this appearing on Netflix, John?
Well, I think you could do a whole season about East Tennessee, or maybe a whole 10 years.
Wow, I mean that is a
lot of very interesting though. A lot of
twists and turns, and wondering what people knew and what they didn't know. To learn more about this story, I will be doing this. Just visit WBIR.com. You can also listen to a brand new podcast episode about this case. You just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. John, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. A lot of comments in regard to the Whole Foods commentary guy. So Jan says people are going to eat what they like, want. It's a choice, and it's none of his business. Randy says, what makes Dr. Coley an expert? Well, she's a cardiologist, graduated top of her class from Harvard University. Also, I believe her undergrad at MIT, she had a flawless, perfect GPA.
She did.
Very qualified.
What makes you a critic?
Okay, and remember to watch
I'm sticking up for our doctor. That's right.
Thank you, Jeff. Remember to watch DBL on Facebook or YouTube. We'll read your comments on TV. It's your chance to be part of our table, part of our DBL Nation. If you're sticking around, here's what's coming up. British comedian Rowan Atkinson says cancel culture is like a medieval mob. And The Weeknd has a new face. Stay tuned.
Is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Wow, welcome to DBL, you guys. That was The Weeknd looking a little different in the new video for his song Save Your Tears. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Tori. Al joining us from home. So The Weeknd is at it again, and as we saw, he has a dramatically different face in his new video. Some fans wondered if he had gone under the knife, but it looks like it's just the work of a good makeup artist, maybe some prosthetics. Last year, the singer showed up to a number of award shows with his face beat up or covered in bandages. It was all reference to his Blinding Lights video, which he apparently, I mean, he's gone back and forth on this. Like, I really wanted him to take a strong stance on,
me too.
You know, drinking and driving and not to drink and drive, and that was what his video was about. And he seemed to backpedal from that, but since then, he has said that that was his goal, to warn people about drinking and driving.
Yes.
Why do people seem, I'm reading our comments, kind of like aloof when it comes to The Weeknd? What's going on here?
I don't think anyone understands really what he's doing, right? He wore those bandages over and over. People didn't get what it was originally. Now he's, you know, in this video, he's referencing like throwing an award down, which I think is in reference to the Grammys. I'm not sure. And then there's a point where he puts a gun to his head, right? Like he's going to almost kill himself. I don't want to trigger anybody out there, but I don't know what he's going through. But if this is all over you not getting a Grammy this year, it seems a little outrageous to me.
Yeah, he also apparently uses a double of Selena Gomez in there to reference something that went on with their relationship at some point as well. But there's something with his face he's clearly into, but masking it, deforming it, marring it. And some artists do that, you know. A lot of people, Bowie always was a little bit more androgynous. I just never got his message, and because of that, I've sort of lost interest.
Yeah, so what are we missing now? Because he's a fantastic artist.
Yeah, like his songs.
Yeah, many people argue that he should have won a Grammy, considering the critical acclaim attached to his recent album, how successful it was on the top 100 charts. But why are we missing? Because Lady Gaga will experiment with prosthetics.
Yeah.
What is it that people are missing when it comes to The Weeknd?
You know, my favorite comic of all time, George Carlin, he released an album called Life is Worth Losing, and it was a pretty dark album. He talked about just the end of the world, maybe that life is worthless. And it came out years later that it was right after the death of his wife. And I really do believe that art imitates life. I think, Tori, you are correct. Something is going on where he's constantly altering his face. People are punching him in the face in his videos. He's bandaged.
It says something.
He's altering it. Yes, Jeff, you are correct with the images of a hypothetical suicide, the drunk driving. These things are all manifesting itself right in front of us, and I think we see an artist in pain. And honestly, that's, I think, where a lot of our art comes from. If you look at your record collection, guys, there was probably some pain behind some of your favorite songs.
Wow, well said. Thank you for that, Al. Okay, so the actor famous for playing Mr. Bean has had it with cancel culture. In an interview with Radio Times, Rowan Atkinson compared cancel culture to a medieval mob roaming the streets looking for someone to burn. He added that canceling people you disagree with erodes freedom of speech and prevents people from expressing a wide spectrum of opinions. Tori, you were shaking your head.
Yeah, Jeff and I are going to go at this a little bit because I think cancel culture, I agree, has gone too far. But I also think cancel culture has brought up a group of marginalized people to have a voice in what has been a voiceless time. So when everyone's like, oh, I hate cancel culture, well, that brought about Matt Lauer, Harvey Weinstein, the Me Too movement, the Cleveland Indians. We're talking about a lot of people that never got a chance. And I know it's not cool to say you're canceled, but for some people, it was a relief.
And I agree with you. I don't think we're going to disagree here. I think we're just going to have different forms of opinions. I agree with everything you just said. It's gone too far now, right? People have 140 characters and they write their opinions on Twitter, and it's gone way too far. People are losing jobs. I've lost jobs, myself included, for things I've said 10 years ago. So if you say something that's off-colored, right, whether it be racist, you are now a racist. Your label is a racist when there's true racists out there. When you say something that's off-colored about the LGBTQ community, you are now labeled as homophobic when there's true homophobics out there. Whether you might be Hitler. It's way out of control, and we need to have lanes where there are people who are anti-Semites, there are people who are racist, there are people who are homophobic. If you have one moment in your life, that doesn't automatically make you fall under that umbrella. That's what I'm getting to. And the bigger point here is I'm already thinking about my children in college, in universities, because you cannot have discussions anymore. This is a conversation, right? Us talking, you saying that, and then me coming back at you, Tori. That's a conversation. When you're writing on social media, that's not a conversation, okay? 140 characters is not a conversation. You're not learning, you're not educating yourself, whatever. Universities are not allowed to say anything anymore. They're very liberal, they're very left-sided, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying it's you agree with me or you're out of here. I brought up the mention of the gun with The Weeknd. One professor in a specific, sorry I'm rambling on, but I'm very passionate about this. One professor in a specific case said, did you guys do your homework? Blah, 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 whatever it was. Man, I'm going to kill myself if you guys don't start listening to me. One person went to the dean of that school, and that professor, after 20 years of educating himself to be a professor, almost got thrown out of that university. That's how far things are going. So if you can't challenge or question, not challenge, even question what someone else is saying, whether it be on social media or in your real life about, hey, Al, could you tell me a little bit more about Black Lives Matter? Tori, could you tell me a little bit more about the Holocaust? I'm not being insensitive. I'm not educating myself. I'm trying to be curious and learn more about these things. And if we're going to stifle that, I'm not sending my kids to university.
Yeah, Al, I think Tori and Jeff are both right. Again, I think we've lost discernment.
I don't think so, Sam. I think they're actually both wrong.
Okay, well, really? Okay, so I think we've. Go ahead. We have a delay.
No, I want to hear from you first, please.
Oh, okay. I think that we've lost discernment in this country. I think it's important to cancel like the Harvey Weinsteins and the Matt Lauers who have a history and deserve it. I don't think that they have an avenue to redemption. However, that's an anomaly. That's a small percentage of people. The majority of people are somehow collateral damage in this cancel culture, and that's what I fear. I don't want that to happen to my children, and more importantly, I don't want that road to redemption to be removed, because then you don't feel comfortable speaking out, you don't feel comfortable learning, and you no longer can have a conversation with people. So that to me is debilitating, very dangerous. Albert, you have the floor.
I'll just say this, and this is why I said that I believe my two lovely co-hosts are incorrect. I believe they're arguing a point that does not exist. I do not think cancel culture exists at all. Let's look at a case like Alex Jones. This is a human being that went on every platform that he could and told people that Sandy Hook was a hoax, and to the point where those parents of those murdered children were harassed to the point that some of the people that harassed him went to jail. He laid down on that point until he was hauled into court. Was he canceled for that?
Yes.
Last I checked, he was on Joe Rogan, he was on Joe Rogan, the largest platform in the world.
And he was protested against
that. So what
is
is cancel culture?
Cancel culture is the
What
majority.
is it if he's
the majority of people don't see, or Alex Jones doesn't have a job in normal.
I don't think he can be on YouTube,
media.
Facebook.
I think he's banned. That's what happens. There are consequences for saying something. He also was convicted in court for defamation against those poor parents.
When he shows up to speak, thousands and thousands of people listen, whether it's YouTube, whether it's some weird stream on the dark web. Alex Jones has a major presence on the right, and there are many platforms that will platform and interview him. There is nobody that doesn't have an audience that is not able to speak to them. There are too many avenues, guys. Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, whatever. You can find your audience all the time. Now, if we're just talking about the three major networks in 1984, you can be canceled. In 2021, it's impossible. You can talk right on your phone.
No, I disagree. Tell that to Kevin Hart, who lost his opportunity to host the Oscars. Right? And this is someone that many
Kevin
people...
Hart has 3 Netflix specials on this television right here, Sam. What are you talking about?
But Aziz Ansari lost
He's
many
on there right now.
Unfortunately, there's many people that see him as a homophobe when he has years later atoned for those remarks and has grown and evolved and apologized. At what point is he going to be able to earn the respect from those individuals?
Those people are never going to let him back in. It's the same with Michael Vick. There are certain people that, for whatever reason that we don't have enough segments to cover, will never be allowed back in. Where's Aziz Ansari?
I just said that.
I think everybody agrees that he was done wrong. Where's he at?
But Al,
where's his second chance?
That's exactly what we're talking about. The cancel culture got him. When you're talking somebody extreme right like Alex Jones, and I said all colleges were liberal on the left, I'm not talking about all colleges. I'm talking about the extreme left. These are the silent majority that aren't so silent. And that's what networks are looking at this and saying, Al, I've lost jobs over what I said 10 years ago. Aziz Ansari is having trouble getting back in because networks are listening to these crazy people, whether it be on the far left or far right. I did that backwards. But they're listening and they're getting through to these networks.
That's because
and it's irresponsible.
It's because the Fringe was given a microphone. That's why.
Good conversation. We have to go. Love it. Love you guys.
I'll never cancel you guys.
Never.
Coming up on DBL. You know him from his popular role on CSI. We're talking live to actor Gary Dourdan, what he's up to now. Coming up next. Welcome back to DBL. Gary Dourdan has been a fixture on many of our TVs. And as a fan favorite, Warwick Brown on CSI Crime Scene Investigation. And now he's leading Man on the big screen in Redemption Day. I can't wait to see this. Take a look.
Captain, thoughts? It's been 24 hours. We have not heard from El Hadi. That is alarming. We need intel on the ground now, sir, and not just from the Algerians. Once we find them, we can extract them.
Wow, there you are, Gary. Welcome to DBL. Happy New Year. Okay.
Thank you.
So we have
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We have so much that we want to talk to you about, especially this new film. But since we are all collectively relieved that 2020 is over, we want to know from you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exhale, right?
Let's leave the past in the past, shall we?
I like it. I like the way you think. How are you looking ahead into 2021, Gary?
Well, with all opportunities. First of all, I'd like to send a shout out to Raphael Warnock for winning and being fantastic win for him, and John Ossoff as well. So that was fantastic. I'm here in Atlanta shooting another project.
And Stacey Abrams, who led the initiative.
I adore her. Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Blessings to all of them. I'm here in Atlanta, and a lot of people were out campaigning and getting people to vote yesterday. We had the cast. We were doing a Zoom table read. You know what? This has been a challenge. Just the technology, working from your home or your hotel room, with trying to figure out the lights and,
tricky.
Hopefully by the end of this, I'll be a really good TV director. That's 2021 is teaching us all how to DIY.
In the most horrendous way. My light is terrible at home. Okay, we mentioned it's terrible. You played Warwick Brown on CSI Crime Scene Investigation, which of course was one of the biggest shows in the world during its long run, even attracting guest directors like Quentin Tarantino. What was it like working with the legendary director? What was that like?
Quentin was awesome. First of all, Quentin's a very personable guy, and he's full of passion. And he gives you back the passion that you had when you got into the arts, because he's such a film buff and he's such a music buff. And he got on the set with us and he brought us together as a cast, and he just said, I like your character. Your character did this, and I remember this episode, and he had seen every episode. Wow. He remembered every piece of things that I had forgotten about. And then he gets on the set and he's just having a good time. He laughs a lot. He's got a very loud, beautiful laugh, and he's full of vibrancy. And I got to hang out with him, and I was hanging out at his house with a bunch of people. He's a really cool dude to work for, and I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
So that's also a good day at work when you're working around your heroes,
Very cool. Gary, I just have to say off the top, you got these girls a little giggly.
Shut up, Jeff.
It's true.
They're
It's not
laughing
true.
a little bit.
Shut
They're giggling
up.
a little bit more than usual. I have to point out.
It's okay.
What do you mean?
I'm a little
Sorry,
jealous.
I'm giggling too.
Thank
Fine.
you. Thank you.
All right. Break it up, everybody. I have a question to ask. So, Gary, your death on CSI, your character's death on CSI,
God.
was devastating for fans. But what
You're like, the girls are giggling, so you died. So what happens when you die?
the question is,
I see your angle there. I like that.
Gary, you were reportedly dead in real life. What was it like waking up to that news? It had to be crazy.
No, I don't read the internet, so maybe you read more than I do. I mean, people tell me all kinds of stuff on the internet, but the one good thing that I know is that, you can't believe everything you read on the internet. It's a crazy interweb of information. I'm still alive and kicking. But I was kind of happy because I was like, great, this gives me an opportunity to start again. Maybe a pseudonym.
I know, right? Okay, so we got to talk about Redemption Day. A lot of us are very excited to see it. You play a decorated U.S. Marine, but your character also struggles with PTSD back in his civilian life. Let me tell you, a lot of our viewers can relate to this, including myself personally within my own family. How do you tap into that struggle for your character?
Well, fortunately for me, when I got the script, that was one thing I wanted to concentrate on. I've known quite a few people in the service industry, Navy SEALs, Rangers, Marines, that I've befriended over the years. And a lot of things that they talk about is after they've done their duty and they've come back home to work in civilian life, it's a lot more difficult because they're not sure who has their back. A lot of times people in the workplace are not often instilled with the same amount of principles and honor systems as they are on the force and in the armed service. So that part of the character I wanted to flesh out a little bit more, and I wanted to give him some more dimensions. And I think the PTSD thing is very prevalent in our armed services community. And I wanted to bring some notice to that. And maybe do a bit of an honor because I crafted my character off of a few friends that I know that are career Navy SEALs.
Wow.
So hopefully that comes across.
Wow, so personal to you. And I just thank you for helping destigmatize PTSD. And we cannot wait to see the film. Redemption Day comes out in theaters on January 8th and digital on demand January 12th.
That's my birthday.
Okay, Gary Dourdan.
Really?
Yeah, boo.
Happy pre-birthday.
Thank you, Gary.
So hopefully you'll be sitting down with some popcorn on your birthday and a glass of champagne and,
and some Gary.
And some Gary. That's all I need.
Gary. That's all we need.
What's up? Yeah. A little popcorn, a little film.
Gary Dourdan, thank you so much for chatting and stopping by.
My
I
pleasure.
apologize on behalf of all of us. We'll be right back. Bye.
No.
today's Heart Threads is all about breaking barriers. Check out this story of a woman on a mission to make a mark in her field that's often occupied by men.
This woman is making history as a motorcycle technician. Motorcycle lover Paris McGowan works at Harley-Davidson as the company's first black female technician. For Paris, riding motorcycles is in her blood. Both her parents and uncles have bikes of their own. She visited Harley-Davidson to buy her first bike.
Kind of tiny. When people see me on my bike, they're just like, oh my gosh, that's a girl.
Eventually, Paris decided she wanted to repair motorcycles too.
You ride it, you want to fix it yourself.
She underwent training at the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute.
I was the only female in all of my classes. Everybody kind of thought of me as like the weakest link, but I showed a lot of them up.
Now at Harley-Davidson, Paris has earned her coworkers' respect.
Don't listen to anybody that shuts you down from your dreams.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Social media is lit up with all sorts of opinions about the Electoral College vote. But here on the Verify team, we ignore all that and stick with the facts. Congress is about to count the electoral votes certified by each state back in December, and several lawmakers say that they plan to object. So we're going to verify. If they object to votes for Biden, do the electoral votes go to President Trump? Here are our sources: Asim Mulji, a legal counsel at the Campaign Legal Center, and Sai Prakash, a constitutional law professor at the University of Virginia School of Law. We also read the federal statutes about electoral votes. First, here's how the objection process works. For an objection to pass, a senator and a House representative must put it in writing. The two chambers will then split off and debate the objection before voting. For an objection to be accepted, both the Senate and the House have to approve it. So back to our original question, where do the votes go if the objection passes?
Rejection means that that state just won't be counted. Every single person in that state will basically be disenfranchised by both houses deciding not to count their electoral votes.
Prakash agrees that it's just a matter of whether or not the votes are counted.
If the governor certifies one slate, then they are counted unless, again, both chambers think there's something amiss and say that they should not be counted.
We also read through the federal statutes about counting electoral votes, and yeah, nowhere does it say that if an objection succeeds, the opponent would get the votes. So we can verify that no, if an objection passes, President Trump would not get those votes. Reporting here at the Capitol of the Seven, Kozlov with your Verify.
on DBL. Actor Michael Chiklis, from his starring role as a Border Patrol agent to binge watching in quarantine. He's telling us all about it.
It gets better and better and better.
That's tomorrow right here on DBL.
Welcome back to DBL. Before we go, we have to share this incredible viral video. This is 1-year-old Polly Gray from Australia. Oh my gosh, her dad taught her how to skateboard when she was just 10 months. What? That's Miles's age. She has more than 7 million views on TikTok. What? My son can barely, he sat up in his crib and I was like hooting and hollering. Yeah, this kid is riding a skateboard.
This kid's doing an ollie. Is that a thing?
Good job, Tori.
Thanks.
Yeah, you sounded cool just
I knew the lingo.
What a great dad. As soon as that kid cracks his head open, get that dad out of here. Get that kid away from him.
Cancel.
DBL is new every day. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
The CEO of Whole Foods gets slammed for suggesting Americans wouldn't need health care if they'd eat better. DBL Nation, do you agree, or is he just all wrong? In today's True Crime Chronicles, a disturbing mystery surrounding a skull sitting on a mantle.
It's a human skull. It's not a white plastic skull.
What led investigators to realize it was actually the remains of a missing man? Is it really over for Kim and Kanye? The new talk of divorce for the couple, as many wonder what was the final straw. And The Weeknd shocks fans with his over-the-top plastic surgery look for a music video. Does this go too far, or are you into his extreme artistic choices?
But then you saw me, caught you by surprise.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, January 6th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Tori. Al joining us from home. All right, let's get started with the big news of the day. Of course, there was a runoff election yesterday for the 2 Senate seats in Georgia. And while we, of course, are following it, we're going to hold off talking about it until it's official. You know, we're going to have a lot to say, so stay tuned for that. Instead, we're going to talk about what many of our viewers have already written in about Kim and Kanye and their alleged divorce. They've reportedly been in marriage counseling and living separate lives. Now, multiple sources say they are about to call it quits. Page 6 is reporting that Kim hired this divorce lawyer, Laura Wasser, but others are saying Kim's been paying her for years to be on standby. Kim has also been seen recently without her giant engagement ring. The couple got married in 2014. They have 4 kids. Very important here. So what led to this potential breaking point for the famous couple? There was Kanye's failed run for president. Initially, Kim seemed to support him, but then this happened. Kanye seemed to lose it during this unscripted speech. He even disclosed, if you remember, some very personal details about their first child together, North, which reportedly left Kim shocked. Kanye also talked about wanting to divorce Kim after news of a private meeting between her and rapper Meek Mill at a Beverly Hills hotel. The couple, again, they have 4 children, which, of course, any parent out there, you know, it complicates any potential breakup, along with a reported $2.2 billion fortune. Okay, so we are not going to make this gossipy. Anybody going through divorce, whether you love Kim and Kanye, whether you hate them, we don't wish that upon anybody. And in fact, I think this is the one time we can actually relate to this couple. Right? So many of our viewers that are going through divorce, have been divorced. We know that there's many things that can cause a breaking point, whether it be politics, whether it be mental health issues. I can speak to that, and I'll get to that. Or whether it just be growing apart. What do you think was the breaking point, Tori?
I think it's the second he mentioned North in that speech, as we mentioned, and he said, we almost aborted Northwest. He came out of nowhere with that, and I think that's something that Kim, for her children are very private. I know she's a very public person. I know all about that. But you don't see her speak a lot about North in that way. I think she was over at that point. They tried. But when you're a caregiver to someone with a mental health disease, it ain't easy. It's a lot, and Kanye's a lot. So I think she did her best, but it's not easy being in that role either.
I think going to that point, I think being married to a Kardashian is a lot.
Totally
right?
fair.
We made 3 points of why the marriage broke up because of Kanye. Well, everyone in that whole family has been divorced, right? They all have failed relationships. So I don't think this falls exactly on Kanye. I think it's hard to be in that family, in that tight-knit group, you know? So listen, I'd say Kanye, I'm trying to defend Kanye here because of his mental health. And again, I don't want to get gossipy like you said, but mental health is a serious issue that we all need to focus on as a country, especially in 2021, what we just went through with COVID, people losing their business, their family members, friends, socialization, we're all missing out on that. That all has to do with your mental health, right? So we all need to focus on that, not give Kanye a pass, but learn from him and learn as these, hopefully they are an example to other people out there other than just bashing them because they're Kim and Kanye.
Al?
Really quickly, guys, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I'll just say this. If you ever look at a college textbook, psychology textbook that has all the different kinds of maladies that can go on from the neck above. You think about the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mental illnesses that have been so well documented they're in college textbooks. Well, that's not just in a book. That's out here in real life. We all get married, as most people get married to someone, and the chances are you will marry somebody with some form of mental illness. Will it manifest itself radically or maybe on a low level? We don't know. But we all need training on what to do if our partner loses the thread. What do we do? And I don't think anybody is equipped with these tools. We're just told love for better or for worse, and then you're sent out the door, and maybe you have a partner that's schizophrenic. Now what do? Do you stay with them forever? Do you stop? We need to talk about mental health because every conversation that we've ever had in this show always indirectly leads back to that.
Well, listen, I don't disagree with any of you here. This is coming from someone that's been very open about her own mental health issues, but I do think that I'm very empathetic. I'm careful with saying giving someone a pass, considering that Kanye West has had all the resources, right? He's talked openly that he's sought help for his mental health issues. He's been on treatment. He's also been very forthright that he's gone off of treatment. So at some point, you have to take responsibility for yourself. At some point, I'm not saying it's easy. Believe me, I did not want to treat my depression. I did not want to treat my anxiety, my OCD. The list goes on. And then when I battled postpartum depression, it took everything in me to finally get help. It's the one disease, as you always say, Tori, that you do not want to treat. But if I did not take that role, who knows where my husband and I would be today.
Yeah, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Okay, and I'll be completely honest with our viewers. If I did not seek treatment for my postpartum depression, and let me tell you, my husband was so supportive, but you're not your best self. I don't think our marriage would have survived. And then my 2 children would be in a broken family. And that that is a sobering moment for me to realize. So I definitely think that Kanye's mental health issues has impacted their marriage, but at what point does he need to advocate for himself, advocate to be a better husband, advocate, if this is the case, advocate to be a better father and a person? And I also think that it amplifies your worst self. So Kanye and his best self is still, in my opinion, a complete narcissist, a complete entitled, selfish person. This is just my opinion. And I don't think that those things change once you get treatment unless you can work on those things as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I was just going to chime in. I thought you were done talking. I apologize.
No.
I was just going to chime in and say, when you say mental health, it doesn't necessarily mean you're Kanye. That's where the stigma comes in. Mental health could be like, I'm depressed from reading social media. Right. I'm depressed because my career's not going the way I am. That's mental health. Working out has to do with mental health. Feeling good about yourself is mental health. And we conflate that with all of a sudden you're crazy and you're Kanye and you're on this different level. That's the stigma we need to get rid of.
Al, quickly, and then I'm going to read some comments because our viewers are chiming in quickly.
I was just going to say, Jeff, and the thing that you're talking about, how many people have depression and don't know that they have it? How many people have a partner that has what I have, attention deficit disorder, and don't know that they have it, and they just think that they're messy or scatterbrained? They're people with these issues, but we can't identify them because we're not taught what to look for, and it manifests itself in all these divorces that we're seeing.
That is so well said. And just one thing to leave our viewers, if you yourself are going through it, if you're feeling down, if you have someone, your partner, someone in your life that you suspect is depressed or has mental health issues, please, please, please help them, empower them, advocate for themselves, because it really can save a marriage. Really quickly, Joy says, I think the final straw was when he revealed Kim almost aborted their child to the public.
That was it.
Jan says, Kim going to be taking that money from old Kanye. Not sure about that. Lisa says, faked for publicity. They will work it out in counseling. And then finally, I think the final straw was when he revealed, again, the abortion. So, wow. Well, we appreciate all your thoughts as always. Al, stick around. Coming up on DBL, The Weeknd shows off an entirely new look in his latest music video. Why his face, not his music, is getting all the buzz. Plus, a morbid mystery when human remains show up on a mantle. How did it get there? And the bigger question, why? That's in True Crime Chronicles. And the CEO of Whole Foods, you know, the store fondly known as Whole Paycheck, says people should just eat better to be more healthy. Is he out of touch, or does he have a point?
Social media is lit up with all sorts of opinions about the Electoral College vote. But here on the Verify team, we ignore all that and stick with the facts. Congress is about to count the electoral votes certified by each state back in December. And several lawmakers say that they plan to object. So we're going to verify. If they object to votes for Biden, do the electoral votes go to President Trump? Here are our sources. Asim Mulji, a legal counsel at the Campaign Legal Center, and Sai Prakash, a constitutional law professor at the University of Virginia School of Law. We also read the federal statutes about electoral votes. First, here's how the objection process works. For an objection to pass, the senator and a House representative must put it in writing. The two chambers would then split off and debate the objection before voting. For an objection to be accepted, both the Senate and the House have to approve it. So back to our original question, where do the votes go if the objection passes?
Rejection means that that state just won't be counted. Every single person in that state will basically be disenfranchised by both houses deciding not to count their electoral votes.
Prakash agrees that it's just a matter of whether or not the votes are counted.
If the governor certifies one slate, then they are counted unless, again, both chambers think there's something amiss and say that they should not be counted.
We also read through the federal statutes about counting electoral votes, and yeah, nowhere does it say that if an objection succeeds, the opponent would get the votes. So we can verify that no, if an objection passes, President Trump would not get those votes. Reporting here at the Capitol of the Seven, Kozlov with your Verify.
Welcome back to DBL. Is there an easy solution to the healthcare crisis in America? Well, according to the CEO of Whole Foods, it all comes down to healthy eating. Here's what he said on a recent episode of Freakonomics Radio. Take a listen.
The best solution is not to need healthcare. The best solution is to change the way people eat, the way they live, the lifestyle and diet. There's no reason why people shouldn't be healthy and have a longer health span. A bunch of drugs is not going to solve the problem.
So here's the thing. He's getting a ton of backlash for those comments. People on social media saying that he's out of touch with the way many Americans live, especially people who don't have the money or access to healthy food options. So the question is he right? Is he out of touch? Tori, what do you think?
I think he was wrong and out of touch. I think he sounded so high and mighty in this. Some people live, if you don't know, that's called a food desert, right? Where you live in, let's say, a more rural area, and there isn't a Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. There's a KFC, a Burger King, and a Wendy's, and maybe
or a liquor store.
Right, or a liquor store, or a 7-Eleven, right? And that's where you can get your food. And if you're working 2 jobs, you get a bucket of KFC because that's the cheapest thing, right? And you don't have the time to cook dinner. So not only did that come across as odd, I thought that when people are having issues with other health issues right now, healthcare is so direly needed. To say we don't need a healthcare industry goes back to his 2009 op-ed where he said we don't need Obamacare, we just need to take better care of our bodies. That's called privilege. And I think that's what he looked like.
Listen, what he said there, that soundbite doesn't sound great, right? But I listened to him on Joe Rogan's podcast in long form, and I think that's how we have to start taking things, right? We can't take little sound bites and then, attack people like that. His message, I think, is good, on the other hand, from what Tori said. Obesity in this country is something we need to take seriously and look at, right? It's killed more people with its symptoms than COVID. And look how serious we take COVID. Eating healthy is something our country needs to focus on. And I get people can't afford some of that. Whole Foods is talking about bringing down its costs. But when I lived in LA, I wasn't on food stamps. I wasn't in dire needs. But I was broke. And I'd get a rotisserie chicken. I'd eat half for lunch, half for dinner. I'd go to the dollar store and get those packets of tuna. There was fruit options there. There was not the best options, not like Whole Foods, but there were other options. Right? So there's other options and we need to focus on that. I don't want to put anybody down who needs medical attention, who needs pills, but we need to focus on that.
Let's get an expert opinion here. Our Dr. Coley. So there you are. Hey, girl. So Dr. Payal Coley, what do you make of these comments? And we have to ask you, is healthy eating the answer to many of our healthcare problems in America? Is it more nuanced than that? Give it to us.
You know, it's funny because I agree with everything both Tori and Jeff are saying.
Whoa.
So Tori is absolutely right that there's a few things wrong with his comments. In fact, what really bothered me was the first is it's sending an inaccurate message. There are many conditions that are not fixed by healthy eating, genetic conditions, autoimmune conditions, cancers, and sending that message to people I think is the incorrect thing to say. But the second thing that bothered me, like Tori said, it's completely tone deaf. I mean, I have plenty of patients who work overnight. They can't get on their Peloton and eat their organic food from Whole Foods and keep their blood pressure down. They have to eat what they can get. But I also agree with Jeff that he is making a comment here that's part of a bigger message that I think is somewhat empowering, which is that heart disease is the #1 killer of men and women in the United States and worldwide. And yet the American Heart Association says that 80% of heart attacks and strokes are preventable. So even though he said it in exactly the wrong way without being sensitive and it wasn't completely accurate, I think there's a hidden message, which is that we need to be empowered to prevent heart disease and stroke and take ownership of our health.
It's also the education. Thank you so much, Dr. Coley. The education and I look back at the school that I went to, and if you are eating what the cafeteria gives you every day, which a lot of my friends did because they were in lower income households, they were left eating complete processed crap.
It's junk.
So I think not only making sure that the schools are supplying fresh food for all children, but also educating children on how to take care of themselves so they can advocate for themselves and know what to buy themselves as they get older. It starts with the youth because, man, I feel like we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, it's chicken nuggets and nothing and butter.
Dr. Coley, before you go, whose answer was the best?
Was it mine? It was mine, right?
Don't answer, Dr. Coley. Do not answer. We love you.
You're the best, Dr.
We'll be right back.
It was mine.
Welcome back to DBL. We first told you about this chilling story in October. A skull sat on a mantle inside a home. Investigators later realized it was the remains of a missing man. Here's an update in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
It's one of the most bizarre and twisted cases Tennessee investigators have seen in years.
Now, this next story could be upsetting for some of you. Authorities say a dog found a human skull that was then later placed on a fireplace mantle inside a rental home.
Let's go back to where it all began. It was spring 2019. The Sexton family rented out their Tennessee home to a new resident, Brian Kennedy. That March, the homeowner's son stopped by the rental and noticed something odd. He spotted a skull on the fireplace mantle wearing sunglasses, so he asked the new homeowner about it. Brian said he was walking in the woods near the home when his dog spotted the skull.
A homeowner in Bell County found a human skull in their backyard. They found it in the Pineville community off Harbell Road.
He brought it inside and put it on his fireplace. The landlord turned it over to forensic experts in Knoxville, where they quickly realized it belonged to a missing man, 79-year-old Junior Willie McCann. He went missing from his home in September 2012 and was never seen again by his family. So, who was this man? And how did he die? There's speculation he could have been killed by a family member who is now dead. For now, police are following every lead and tip, and it's still a very active case.
Earlier, Tori and I spoke with a reporter who's working on this case. Take a look.
We're joined by senior investigative journalist John North from 10 News in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thank you for being here, John. The skull unbelievably sat on a fireplace for a year before anyone noticed. Do you believe that the new tenant Brian had any idea it was a real skull or a missing person, or was it just a mantle piece of art?
Well, common sense would dictate he had to know it was the real thing. His dog had found it, some months before when they had been out walking. I've seen pictures of it. It's a human skull. It's not a white plastic skull. So, yeah, I have to suspect he knew it was a human being, and they had also found Native American remains often and other evidence of them in the woods behind that house before. So my guess is he knew what it was, but I guess he just didn't think anything about it.
Wow.
What do you think happened to this missing man? Do you think his family was involved in his disappearance in any way?
There have been some rumors and some suspicion in the community that that's what happened. Mr. McCann had gone for a walk. He lived in the house where the skull many years later would be placed on the mantle. He disappeared. He was about 79. And then his brother reported him missing about 4 days later. So something happened to him, and it took a little while before anybody said, well, where's Junior?
That's the problem, that time in between.
A lot of questions here.
So many questions.
If my dog found the skull, I think I'd notify somebody.
That would be normal common sense, Jeffrey, yes. John, what will it take to break this case, and what new leads are police pursuing?
They don't really have a whole lot right now, Tori, and honestly, time is the enemy.
Right.
Because it was so long after the skull was realized that it was sitting on the mantle. The best that they've been able to do in recent months is to confirm that it was Junior. They've only got the skull. When they did a search of the woods behind the house, they found no other parts. There's no evidence of foul play in regards to the skull, so they don't really have a whole lot to work with.
There's so many questions.
When is this appearing on Netflix, John?
Well, I think you could do a whole season about
Right?
East Tennessee, or maybe a whole 10 years.
Wow. I mean, that is a
lot of very interesting, though. A lot of
a lot of twists and turns and wondering what people knew and what they didn't know. To learn more about this story, I will be doing this. Just visit WBIR.com. You can also listen to a brand new podcast episode about this case. You just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. John, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Promotion.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. A lot of comments in regard to the Whole Foods commentary guy. So Jan says people are going to eat what they like, want. It's a choice, and it's none of his business. Randy says, what makes Dr. Coley an expert? Well, she's a cardiologist, graduated top of her class from Harvard University. Also, I believe her undergrad at MIT, she had a flawless, perfect GPA.
She did.
Very
Perfect
qualified.
attendance.
What makes you a critic?
Okay, and remember to watch
I'm sticking up for our doctor. That's right.
Thank you, Jeff. Remember to watch DBL on Facebook or YouTube. We'll read your comments on TV. It's your chance to be part of our table, part of our DBL Nation. If you're sticking around, here's what's coming up. British comedian Rowan Atkinson says cancel culture is like a medieval mob. And The Weeknd has a new face. Stay tuned.
Is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Wow, welcome to DBL, you guys. That was The Weeknd looking a little different in the new video for his song Save Your Tears. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Tori. Al joining us from home. So The Weeknd is at it again, and as we saw, he has a dramatically different face in his new video. Some fans wondered if he had gone under the knife, but it looks like it's just the work of a good makeup artist, maybe some prosthetics. Last year, the singer showed up to a number of award shows with his face beat up or covered in bandages. It was all reference to his Blinding Lights video, which he apparently, I mean, he's gone back and forth on this. Like, I really wanted him to take a strong stance
Yeah,
on,
me too.
you know, drinking and driving and not to drink and drive, and that was what his video was about. And he seemed to backpedal from that, but since then, he has said that that was his goal, to warn people about drinking and driving.
Yes.
Why do people seem, I'm reading our comments, kind of like aloof when it comes to The Weeknd? What's going on here?
I don't think anyone understands really what he's doing, right? He wears those bandages over and over. People didn't get what it was originally. Now he's, you know, in this video, he's referencing like throwing an award down, which I think is in reference to the Grammys. I'm not sure. And then there's a point where he puts a gun to his head, right? Like he's going to almost kill himself. I don't want to trigger anybody out there, but I don't know what he's going through. But if this is all over you not getting a Grammy this year, it seems a little outrageous to me.
Yeah, he also apparently uses a double of Selena Gomez in there to reference something that went on with their relationship at some point as well. But there's something with his face he's clearly into, but masking it, deforming it, marring it. And some artists do that, you know. A lot of people, Bowie always was a little bit more androgynous. I just never got his message, and because of that, I've sort of lost interest.
Yeah, so what are we missing now? Because he's a fantastic artist.
Yeah, like his songs.
Yeah, many people argue that he should have won a Grammy, considering the critical acclaim attached to his recent album, how successful it was on the top 100 charts. But why are we missing? Because Lady Gaga will experiment with prosthetics.
Yeah.
What is it that people are missing when it comes to The Weeknd?
You know, my favorite comic of all time, George Carlin, he released an album called Life is Worth Losing, and it was a pretty dark album. He talked about just the end of the world, maybe that life is worthless, and it came out years later that it was right after the death of his wife. And I really do believe that art imitates life. I think, Tori, you are correct. Something is going on where he's constantly altering his face. People are punching him in the face in his videos. He's bandaged.
It says something.
He's altering it. Yes, Jeff, you are correct with the images of a hypothetical suicide, the drunk driving. These things are all manifesting itself right in front of us. And I think we see an artist in pain. And honestly, that's, I think, where a lot of our art comes from. If you look at your record collection, guys, there was probably some pain behind some of your favorite songs.
Wow, well said. Thank you for that, Al. Okay, so the actor famous for playing Mr. Bean has had it with cancel culture. In an interview with Radio Times, Rowan Atkinson compared cancel culture to a medieval mob roaming the streets looking for someone to burn. He added that canceling people you disagree with erodes freedom of speech and prevents people from expressing a wide spectrum of opinions. Tori, you were shaking your head.
Yeah, Jeff and I are going to go at this a little bit because I think cancel culture, I agree, has gone too far. But I also think cancel culture has brought up a group of marginalized people to have a voice in what has been a voiceless time. So when everyone's like, oh, I hate cancel culture, well, that brought about Matt Lauer, Harvey Weinstein, the Me Too movement, Cleveland Indians. We're talking about a lot of people that never got a chance. And I know it's not cool to say you're canceled, but for some people, it was a relief.
And I agree with you. I don't think we're going to disagree here. I think we're just going to have different forms of opinions. I agree with everything you just said. It's gone too far now, right? People have 140 characters and they write their opinions on Twitter, and it's gone way too far. People are losing jobs. I've lost jobs, myself included, for things I've said 10 years ago. So if you say something that's off-colored, right, whether it be racist, you are now a racist. Your label is a racist when there's true racists out there. When you say something that's off-colored about the LGBTQ community, you are now labeled as homophobic when there's true homophobics out there. Whether you might be Hitler. It's way out of control, and we need to have lanes where there are people who are anti-Semites, there are people who are racist, there are people who are homophobic. If you have one moment in your life, that doesn't automatically make you fall under that umbrella. That's what I'm getting to. And the bigger point here is I'm already thinking about my children in college, in universities, because you cannot have discussions anymore. This is a conversation, right? Us talking, you saying that, and then me coming back at you, Tori. That's a conversation. When you're writing on social media, that's not a conversation, okay? 140 characters is not a conversation. You're not learning, you're not educating yourself, whatever. Universities are not allowed to say anything anymore. They're very liberal, they're very left-sided, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying it's you agree with me or you're out of here. I brought up the mention of the gun with the Weeknd. One professor in a specific, sorry I'm rambling on, but I'm very passionate about this. One professor in a specific case said, did you guys do your homework? Blah, 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 whatever it was. Man, I'm going to kill myself if you guys don't start listening to me. One person went to the dean of that school, and that professor, after 20 years of educating himself to be a professor, almost got thrown out of that university. That's how far things are going. So if you can't challenge or question, not challenge, even question what someone else is saying, whether it be on social media or in your real life about, hey, Al, could you tell me a little bit more about Black Lives Matter? Tori, could you tell me a little bit more about the Holocaust? I'm not being insensitive. I'm not educating myself. I'm trying to be curious and learn more about these things. And if we're going to stifle that, I'm not sending my kids to university.
Yeah, Al, I think Tori and Jeff are both right. Again, I think we've lost discernment.
I don't think so, Sam. I think they're actually both wrong.
Okay, well, really? Okay, so I think we've. Go ahead. We have a delay.
No, I want to hear from you first, please.
Oh, okay. I think that we've lost discernment in this country. I think it's important to cancel like the Harvey Weinsteins and the Matt Lauers who have a history and deserve it. I don't think that they have an avenue to redemption. However, that's an anomaly. That's a small percentage of people. The majority of people are somehow collateral damage in this cancel culture, and that's what I fear. I don't want that to happen to my children, and more importantly, I don't want that road to redemption to be removed, because then you don't feel comfortable speaking out, you don't feel comfortable learning, and you no longer can have a conversation with people. So that to me is debilitating, very dangerous. Albert, you have the floor.
I'll just say this, and this is why I said that I believe my two lovely co-hosts are incorrect. I believe they're arguing a point that does not exist. I do not think cancel culture exists at all. Let's look at a case like Alex Jones. This is a human being that went on every platform that he could and told people that Sandy Hook was a hoax, and to the point where those parents of those murdered children were harassed to the point that some of the people that harassed him went to jail. He laid down on that point until he was hauled into court. Was he canceled for that?
Yes.
Last I checked, he was on Joe Rogan, he was on Joe Rogan, the largest platform in the world.
And he was protested against that.
So what is cancel culture?
Cancel culture is the majority.
What is it if he's
the majority of people don't see, or Alex Jones doesn't have a job in normal.
I don't think he can be on YouTube,
media.
Facebook.
I think he's banned. That's what happens. There are consequences for saying something. He also was convicted in court for defamation against those poor parents.
When he shows up to speak, thousands and thousands of people listen, whether it's YouTube, whether it's some weird stream on the dark web. Alex Jones has a major presence on the right, and there are many platforms that will platform and interview him. There is nobody that doesn't have an audience that is not able to speak to them. There are too many avenues, guys. Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, whatever. You can find your audience all the time. Now, if we're just talking about the three major networks in 1984, you can be canceled. In 2021, it's impossible. You can talk right on your phone.
No, I disagree. Tell that to Kevin Hart, who lost his opportunity to host the Oscars. Right? And this is someone that many
Kevin
people...
Hart has 3 Netflix specials on this television right here, Sam. What are you talking about?
But Aziz Ansari lost
He's
many
3 on there right now.
Unfortunately, there's many people that see him as a homophobe when he has, years later, atoned for those remarks and has grown and evolved and apologized. At what point is he going to be able to earn the respect from those individuals?
Those people are never going to let him back in. It's the same with Michael Vick. There are certain people that, for whatever reason that we don't have enough segments to cover, will never be allowed back in. Where's Aziz Ansari?
I just said that.
I think everybody agrees that he was done wrong. Where's he at?
But Al,
where's his second chance?
That's exactly what we're talking about. The cancel culture got him. When you're talking somebody extreme right like Alex Jones, and I said all colleges were liberal on the left, I'm not talking about all colleges. I'm talking about the extreme left. These are the silent majority that aren't so silent. And that's what networks are looking at this and saying, Al, I've lost jobs over what I said 10 years ago. Aziz Ansari is having trouble getting back in because networks are listening to these crazy people, whether it be on the far left or far right. I did that backwards. But they're listening and they're getting through to these networks.
That's because
it's irresponsible.
It's because the fringe was given a microphone. That's why.
Good conversation. We have to go. Love it. Love you guys.
I'll never cancel you guys.
Never.
Coming up on DBL. You know him from his popular role on CSI. We're talking live to actor Gary Dourdan, what he's up to now. Coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by...
Social media is lit up with all sorts of opinions about the Electoral College vote. But here on the Verify team, we ignore all that and stick with the facts. Congress is about to count the electoral votes certified by each state back in December. And several lawmakers say that they plan to object. So we're going to verify. If they object to votes for Biden, do the electoral votes go to President Trump? Here are sources. Asim Mulji, a legal counsel at the Campaign Legal Center, and Sai Prakash, a constitutional law professor at the University of Virginia School of Law. We also read the federal statutes about electoral votes. First, here's how the objection process works. For an objection to pass, the senator and a House representative must put it in writing. The two chambers will then split off and debate the objection before voting. For an objection to be accepted, both the Senate and the House have to approve it. So back to our original question, where do the votes go if the objection passes?
Rejection means that that state just won't be counted. Every single person in that state will basically be disenfranchised by both houses deciding not to count their electoral votes.
Prakash agrees that it's just a matter of whether or not the votes are counted.
If the governor certifies one slate, then they are counted unless, again, both chambers think there's something amiss and say that they should not be counted.
We also read through the federal statutes about counting electoral votes, and yeah, nowhere does it say that if an objection succeeds, the opponent would get the votes. So we can verify that no, if an objection passes, President Trump would not get those votes. Reporting here at the Capitol of the Seven, Kozlov with your Verify.
Welcome back to DBL. Gary Dourdan has been a fixture on many of our TVs. And as a fan favorite, Warwick Brown on CSI Crime Scene Investigation. And now he's leading Man on the big screen in Redemption Day. I can't wait to see this. Take a look.
Captain, thoughts? It's been 24 hours. We have not heard from El Hadi. That is alarming. We need intel on the ground now, sir, not just from the Algerians. Once we find them, we can extract them.
Wow, there you are, Gary. Welcome to DBL. Happy New Year. Okay.
Thank you.
So we have
Happy New Year.
Thank you. We have so much that we want to talk to you about, especially this new film. But since we are all collectively relieved that 2020 is over, we want to know from you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exhale, right?
Let's leave the past in the past, shall we?
I like it. I like the way you think. How are you looking ahead into 2021, Gary?
Well, with all opportunities. First of all, I'd like to send a shout out to Raphael Warnock for winning and being fantastic win for him, and John Ossoff as well. So that was fantastic. I'm here in Atlanta shooting another project.
And Stacey Abrams, who led
yes.
the initiative.
I adore her. Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Blessings to all of them. I'm here in Atlanta, and a lot of people were out campaigning and getting people to vote yesterday. We had the cast. We were doing a Zoom table read. You know what? This has been a challenge. Just the technology working from your home or your hotel room with trying to figure out the lights and,
tricky.
Hopefully by the end of this, I'll be a really good TV director. That's 2021 is teaching us all how to DIY.
In the most horrendous way. My light is terrible at home. Okay, we mentioned it's terrible. You played Warwick Brown on CSI Crime Scene Investigation, which of course was one of the biggest shows in the world during its long run, even attracting guest directors like Quentin Tarantino. What was it like working with the legendary director? What was that like?
Quentin was awesome. First of all, Quentin's a very personable guy, and he's full of passion. And he gives you back the passion that you had when you got into the arts, because he's such a film buff and he's such a music buff. And he got on the set with us and he brought us together as a cast, and he just said, I like your character. Your character did this, and I remember this episode, and he had seen every episode. Wow. He remembered every piece of things that I had forgotten about. And then he gets on the set and he's just having a good time. He laughs a lot. He's got a very loud, beautiful laugh, and he's full of vibrancy. And I got to hang out with him, and I was hanging out at his house with a bunch of people. he's a really cool dude to work for, and I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
So that's also a good day at work when you're working around your heroes, you know?
Very cool. Gary, I just have to say off the top, you got these girls a little giggly.
Shut up, Jeff. It's true.
They're
It's
laughing
not
a little
true.
bit.
Shut
They're giggling
up.
a little bit more than usual. I have to point out.
It's okay.
What do you mean?
I'm a little
Sorry,
jealous.
I'm giggling too.
Thank
It's
you.
fine.
Thank you.
All right. Break it up, everybody. I have a question to ask. So, Gary, your death on CSI, your character's death on CSI,
God.
was devastating for fans. But
You're like, the girls are giggling, so you died. So what happens when you die?
the question is,
I see your angle there. I like that.
Gary, you were reportedly dead in real life. What was it like waking up to that news? It had to be crazy.
No, I don't read the internet, so maybe you read more than I do. I mean, people tell me all kinds of stuff on the internet, but the one good thing that I know is that, you can't believe everything you read on the internet. It's a crazy interweb of information. I'm still alive and kicking. But I was kind of happy because I was like, great, this gives me an opportunity to start again.
Yeah.
Maybe a pseudonym.
I know, right? Okay, so we got to talk about Redemption Day. A lot of us are very excited to see it. You play a decorated U.S. Marine, but your character also struggles with PTSD back in his civilian life. Let me tell you, a lot of our viewers can relate to this, including myself personally within my own family. How do you tap into that struggle for your character?
Well, fortunately for me, when I got the script, that was one thing I wanted to concentrate on. I've known quite a few people in the service industry, Navy SEALs, Rangers, Marines that I've befriended over the years. And a lot of things that they talk about is after they've done their duty and they've come back home to work in civilian life, it's a lot more difficult because they're not sure who has their back. A lot of times people in the workplace are not often instilled with the same amount of principles and honor systems as they are on the force and in the armed service. So that part of the character I wanted to flesh out a little bit more, and I wanted to give him some more dimensions. And I think the PTSD thing is very prevalent in our armed services community. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to bring some notice to that.
Yeah.
And maybe do a bit of an honor because I crafted my character off of a few friends that I know that are career Navy SEALs.
Wow. Wow.
So hopefully that comes across.
Wow, so personal to you. And I just thank you for helping destigmatize PTSD. And we cannot wait to see the film. Redemption Day comes out in theaters on January 8th and digital on demand January 12th.
That's my birthday.
Okay, Gary Dourdan.
Really?
Yeah, boo.
Happy pre-birthday.
Thank you, Gary.
So hopefully you'll be sitting down with some popcorn on your birthday and a glass of champagne and,
and some Gary.
And some Gary. That's all I need.
Gary. That's all we
That's
need.
what's up. Yeah. A little popcorn, a little film.
Gary Dourdan, thank you so much for chatting and stopping by.
My
I
pleasure.
apologize on behalf of all of us. We'll be right back. Bye.
No.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about breaking barriers. Check out this story of a woman on a mission to make a mark in her field that's often occupied by men.
This woman is making history as a motorcycle technician. Motorcycle lover Paris McGowan works at Harley Davidson as the company's first black female technician. For Paris, riding motorcycles is in her blood. Both her parents and uncles have bikes of their own. She visited Harley Davidson to buy her first bike.
Kind of tiny. When people see me on my bike, they're just like, oh my gosh, that's a girl.
Eventually, Paris decided she wanted to repair motorcycles too.
You ride it, you want to fix it yourself.
She underwent training at the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute.
I was the only female in all of my classes. Everybody kind of thought of me as like the weakest link, but I showed a lot of them up.
Now at Harley Davidson, Paris has earned her coworkers' respect.
Don't listen to anybody that shuts you down from your dreams.
We'll be right back.
Promote.
tomorrow on DBL. Actor Michael Chiklis, from his starring role as a Border Patrol agent to binge watching in quarantine. He's telling us all about it.
It gets better and better and better.
That's tomorrow right here on DBL.
Welcome back to DBL. Before we go, we have to share this incredible viral video. This is 1-year-old Polly Gray from Australia. Oh my gosh, her dad taught her how to skateboard when she was just 10 months. What? That's Miles's age. She has more than 7 million views on TikTok. What? My son can barely, he sat up in his crib and I was like hooting and hollering. Yeah, this kid is riding a skateboard.
This kid's doing an ollie. Is that a thing?
Good job, Tori.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you sounded cool just
I knew the lingo.
What a great dad. As soon as that kid cracks his head open, get that dad out of here. Get that kid away from him.
Cancel.
DBL is new every day. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Thank you.